talking to myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the...
Good evening and welcome to NUFC Matters Matchday Live. It is Newcastle United away at Brighton and Hove Albion in the Premier League. And as always, joined by a talented bunch of lads and lasses to talk through tonight's game. And usually it's been more entertaining talking to these guys than watching the football. I hope it's not the same. We've got Daz, Martin and Chris, of course, and Rich from Loaded Football. It's a Loaded Football takeover tonight. And we've also got Chris, Pete, Holly and Kieran. And Kieran, you're not on your bed. This could be a good sign, mate. You're sitting up.
Wide awake.
He is. He's wide awake. He's sitting up. He's ready for action. And looking forward to covering Newcastle versus Brighton. As always, give it a like, give it a share, just to help us build the community. The bad news about tonight's game isn't really the lineup for me. It's the fact that Graham Souness is on BT Sports talking about on Sky Sports talking about us again. So at least you can keep us company and listen to what we've got to say rather than listen to that Neanderthal talk absolute garbage about Newcastle United. Here's the lineup anyway. Martin Dubravka as always in goal. Javier Manquillo, Jamal Lascelles captaining the team. Kieran Clark and Paul Dummett. That back four has a very solid look to it, along with the goalkeeper, I've got to be honest. Midfield, you know, it's always debatable when John Joe Shelby's in there. It's whichever Shelby turns up. But we've got Isaac Hayden, John Joe Shelby, Joe Willock, of course, and Ryan Fraser, hopefully not playing up front tonight. And Miguel Almiron and Joe Linton. Yes, Joe Linton, the man who is almost, probably ever present more or less throughout, his entire time at Newcastle. There've been very few players who've got us an appearance record like him, I would doubt. Darlow on the bench, Carroll, Richie, Gale, Lewis, Hendrick, Fernandez, Murphy and Sean Longstaff all on the bench, and I'm sure some of them will be required at some point. As for the home team, here they go. They line up like this: Sanchez, White, Dunk captaining them, Basuma, Mopai, Trossard, Gross, Lallana, Modar, Welbeck and Veltman. And over to you, Daz. What do you make of Newcastle United's team? I've seen some mixed reaction on Twitter already and some mixed reaction in the chat. Mike Gent, is Bruce having a laugh with this lineup, he says.
Steve, I thought I'd start with something different. I'm going to do a rally cry. That's what I'm going to do, first of all. So, here we are. It's come down to this. A relegation six-pointer. That's a must-win, simple as that. My first matchday live was the Brighton game in September. I started full of positivity, and that game ended in a 3-0 defeat. A Tariq Lamptey masterclass and a Potter ball at its best. For this game, I'm going to forget the fact that since November we've called for Bruce out. I will bite my tongue. I'm going to forget that we go from matchday live to matchday live, and the passion is slowly sucked out of us through the spectacle we endure. Let's be positive after all. We're on a 3-game unbeaten run, and there are 3 points to be accumulated tonight. It's time to step up and take advantage of the Fulham result last night and begin to add some daylight between us and the bottom of the table. Tonight is a time to forget. It's a time to produce, and it's a time for victory. Away the lads, and away the matters. It's my rally cry to start it off. Cheers, lads.
Well, it does.
Okay, so then on the team, back on the team. Yeah, look, I'll take. Yeah, no. I'll take the lineup.
Don't ever start doing wedding speeches, does whatever. Jesus.
I think Spenny has that wrapped up for Chris A anyway. But yeah, look at. I'll take the team that's been put out. Okay, the Shelby's in there, Joe Linton's in there. It's nice to see Almiron in there. Let's hope he's got a bit of match fitness. He's not long back in training. Look, we have to go for it. So I'm going to take what's given to us, and I'm going to stay positive, and we're going to win tonight.
Oh, wow. Well done. That was a very impressive opening, Daz. You've left everybody else, basically scratching around with pens and papers, and that's hoping to beat you. Rich, over to you, mate. What can you say about that lineup tonight?
Well,
quote what Chris said. It's shit and predictable, pretty much. I think everybody knew that if Almiron was going to be fit, he'd come back in. And everybody else who was playing in the last game was going to play this game. He never changed anything. We had the Rafa days where you would never ever know what he was going to pick. Whereas now you can pretty much pick Bruce's 11 every single week. So I think apart from Almiron coming in, everybody else picked themselves. We can put all these lineups on Twitter every single day of the week, but not one of them will be correct while Bruce is in. Because we could pick a Newcastle team that will do better than what Bruce will ever do. But still no place on the bench for Matty Longstaff, which is a surprise. He's been doing well in training along with his brother. His brother's been meant to be the best trainer on the pitch, but still can't make the first 11. My thoughts exactly the same with you regards to John Joe Shelby. I think we need more legs in the midfield. You can't rely on which Shelby's going to turn up. And I would like to have seen Sean Longstaff in there with Willock and Hayden. Sky have got Fraser playing through the middle. I can't say that I would expect it to play on the left, Joe Linton on the right, and probably Almiron through the middle like he had done when Fraser and Maxi were fit. So predictable lineup, I think, Steve. I think everybody else probably on the panel would agree. We can pick every single team we want to pick with different ideas and opinions, but we always know Bruce is going to pick exactly the same team week after week, unless there's an injury. Simple.
Okay, Chris here, what's your take on tonight's lineup?
Well, I don't know how to follow Daz with his positively Churchillian. We shall fight them on. We shall fight them in France. We shall fight them in the seas and oceans. But the lineup. We talked a little bit in the pre-show about Almiron. Either it's going to be a master stroke, or more likely he's not ready and will come up lame. So hopefully we can get something out of him before the 65th minute substitution. John Joe Shelby, he hasn't shown up probably since the last time he scored. So I don't want to see him anywhere near the starting lineup. Ryan Fraser is an interesting start for me. He did put in a shift last time out and was sent off when he probably shouldn't have been. So who knows whether that's a motivating factor for him, or whether he's going to be sulking and sort of feeling like he shouldn't be here and made a poor decision to come to Newcastle and play under Bruce. So he's starting. Hopefully we get something out of him, because we certainly really don't get any production out of Joe Linton. Even if he puts in his shift, it's just not good enough to be Premier League quality. I am like you. I think we've got a solid back four. It's just the midfield that I'm worried about, and we don't really have a pure striker out there with Gale on the bench. And I don't understand his Bruce's strategy with Murphy. Murphy plays well and then doesn't play. Thankfully, he's not even put Kraft on the bench. I don't think he should play again for Newcastle. So Brighton has always been a tough match for us, going back to our championship battles. It's a dogfight either way, home or away, fans or no fans. And I honestly can't remember the last time that Newcastle won a match that they needed to win. We're in 11th place, and people were praising Bruce, and then he's just been in free fall ever since, and can't seem to put a winning streak or any kind of win together. So hopefully tonight's the night, but it's hard to give the club or Bruce squad any kind of confidence. But hopefully miracles or the luck does fall their way, and they work it out. But I don't quite see the way through.
Yeah, I mean, the allegation that I'd heard, or the rumour I'd heard about Kraft, was he refused to travel because he wants to go home and see his family on Sunday, and they couldn't get a flight that was going to get him there. He couldn't get on the flight because he wouldn't have got back from this game. If that's true, well, I wouldn't want to see Kraft anywhere near this team again either. But
No.
I mean, he's not a great player to start with, but
Go home to Sweden.
that is the rumour that I've heard anyway. That he was originally booked on the flight and then decided not to get on. Was then withdrawn from it because of that. Again, I can understand people want to see their family, especially with these COVID times, etc. But I just find it, inexcusable if that is true. Whether it's true or not, we may never find out. Similar with the whole ASM story, which has rumbled on, and we find he's back in France again. And then coming back, and the sooner this season finishes, the better. I mean, that's in a nutshell why I had last week off, Peter. I was just sick. I didn't even watch the match last week. I'd rather have spent time with the family. I'd had a rough old week anyway with a funeral, etc. But it just gets to us all, Pete, doesn't it? It gets to us all eventually at some point. We just think enough's enough, and why should I even waste 90 minutes of my life watching this crap anymore? But we've got to. It's our team. That's why we support them. What's your take on the lineup tonight?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, you're absolutely right, Steve, about watching the games week to week. It's at times it's becoming unbearable. It is, but because we're such loyal fans and we love the club so much, we always keep coming back. But the one thing I've done over the last 2 or 3 weeks, certainly throughout the week, is I've just stayed off social media. I've tried to stay away from anything Newcastle related as much as possible in between the games at the weekends, and that's my way of kind of like dealing with it. I put myself into my family and my work. So I didn't watch the game last night, the fun game, weren't interested in it. I spent time with the family instead, and it was a thoroughly enjoyable evening. Going on to the lineup tonight, it's what I expected. The personnel may be slightly different with Almiron. I expected Managerial to come back in. He's fit. He's the best right back at the club. He has to start. It's as simple as that. Almiron, great to see him back. We've talked about how influential he is on the players and this formation in the weeks gone by. And I know Chris H has talked about it too. He is the guy that galvanizes this team. He starts the intensity of the team. He starts right from the top, putting pressure on that defense, and that's what we need tonight. And if there was any chance that he could play even 45 minutes, you start him because we need him. It's as simple as that. So I'm glad that he's back in. I'm happy that he's playing tonight. I see a lot of these formations put out over the week, like Rich said, and you've got your 4-4-2s and your 4 whatevers. This formation is here to stay. It's as simple as that. It's not changing. Okay, we've had an opportunity in games to change the formation and the style of play with our injuries. We haven't. So it's here to stay, and it's the formation we're going to have for the rest of the season. It all depends on what players are available to play it. What it does tell me is that Jacob Murphy and Andy Carroll are just purely considered impact players. They've had an opportunity to start games when we've had horrible injuries to our forward line, and they still haven't got starts. That tells me they're not likely to get starts in the weeks coming, because with the likes of ASM and Wilson coming back, all that's going to do is put them further down the pecking order. So that just tells me that they see them as impact players. There's arguments about Shelby starting, but Shelby's been playing regular games. I don't particularly think he's played that bad. We know he's not a box-to-box player. We know, he hasn't got the legs. But I think that's why they've got Hayden and Willock around him to support him with that. There's an argument of throwing Sean Longstaff in. I think Sean Longstaff should be brought in off the bench to get him back in and playing football, because he hasn't played for a long time. But to throw him back into starting a game after so long, I just don't see it. I just don't, realistically, I just don't see him starting. But I do hope that he gets some minutes tonight, because I think he has got a part to play in this team. The defence is the defence. I think we've been the most solid we've been as a backline for a long time. I think Dubravka's a big part in that. I think Dummett in the last couple of games has been a big part in that. As long as he stays fit, he needs to start in this difficult period of time. I've said it before, I do see Lewis as a long-term left-back for our club. But for this point in time where we need results and we need guys like you said, Steve, that know the club, that can battle and do the graft, he's the guy that we need right now, and he's playing well, and fair play to him for not playing for so long, coming in and doing a good job. But look, this is it. This is it for us. This is the tipping point. You know, we've been given a lifeline by Leeds doing the job for us last night. This is it. You know, if we can go 5 points clear with them still another game in hand, all that does is put more pressure on Fulham. Fulham have had it easy. They've had no pressure to get back to claw these points back. Now they're here. The pressure's on them because they've got to go the next step to actually get the points, to accumulate those points, to take us over. Okay, and it's always easy when you've not got the pressure on to get up there, to get to those guys that you're scrapping with, but it's even harder to make that next step, to actually go there and get those points to make the difference, because the pressure's on you, and the pressure is a lot. And you could tell, and I watched some of the clips this morning of the Fulham game, you could tell the pressure was on them, right? We need our boys, the likes of Lascelles, the likes of Dummett, the likes of, you've got your Murphys come off the bench, our Mirons, you've got your Shelbys, they've been there, done that. We need them to step up tonight and really put a performance in, because this is the tipping point. I believe if we get 3 points tonight, we are well on our way to staying in this league.
Okay, Chris, what's your take on tonight's lineup? We've got about 10 minutes till kick-off.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go on too much about it, to be honest, Steve, because I think everyone knows my feelings on it, and also, I'm sure everyone feels exactly the same way. So I'm gonna focus mainly on the positives if I can. So I'm really pleased that Manquillo's back in for Kraft. Hopefully that's, that I'm pleased with that back four, and I'm pleased with the goalie. So, I've got no complaints from that point of view. And I agree with what Pete's just said in terms of, Lewis going forwards is going to be our number one left back for the future. But right now we need players like Paul Dummett, and Paul Dummett does a job for you. Am I bothered that he's not particularly good going forwards? Not at all. I just want to make sure that he keeps things solid at the back for us, while we're trying to scrap and get points. So really pleased with that. And I'm also, as Pete's already said there, I'm delighted that Miggy Almiron's back. I think you all know how highly I rate Miggy, and he sets the tone for the team, as I've said many times. So I'm absolutely delighted that Miggy's back. When I look at the bench, it's the same old. There's players on that bench. I'm not going to go through them because you all know who I'm talking about, that I feel should be in the lineup. But I try to stay as positive as possible, because you've got to hope that we can get something from this game, and anything can happen. And I just hope and pray that the players put a shift in tonight, and until half time at least, I'll at least give them half a chance. And one thing another positive, one thing you can say is these players aren't gonna feel like they haven't played with each other, because this is basically the same team we've been playing for weeks. So there'll be no excuses in terms of players being out of position or not knowing what the other one's doing, because it's basically been the same team now for weeks and weeks on end. So I'm keeping in a positive frame of mind. I'm a little bit worried about the Brighton side. I was just studying that then, and that's looking pretty strong, especially offensively. But yeah. So I'm a big fan of Gross. He's playing on the right by the looks of things. Lallana's in. I know he hasn't really been starting of late, so I'm surprised that he's starting this evening. And obviously, the forward line of Welbeck and Morpay, they're both handy players who on the day can cause problems. But again, I'm feeling good because of our solid back four and the goalie. But that's all I'm going to say for now. Keep them positive, and let's hope that we make a good start to the match.
Fair play. Martin, have you recovered from your drunken shenanigans on Loaded Football this week?
I tell you, I wasn't that good on Thursday. Had a few. I think it was about 2:00. I went to bed. Yeah.
Well, I hope you had a good St. Patrick's Day, lads. It was a good show. Thoroughly enjoy. I always enjoy watching the show. I've got absolutely nothing to do with, but well done. And don't forget, guys, subscribe to Loaded Football. Got their own channel now. The lads are making an effort and trying to do trying to do something a little bit different. I have a Newcastle segment on there as well, so obviously give it a follow, give it a watch. And Martin and Daz, Rich occasionally, and Chris are all part of the team over there, so get yourself on. Bit of music on there as well, which is always nice to hear. Up and coming new talent, and always well worth a shot. And give them a follow on social media as well. Back to you, Martin. What about tonight's team?
Yeah, I think I would have loved to have seen Fernandes back in. You know, I keep saying I know everybody will shoot me down, but I don't rate Lascelles. I don't think he's pretty great all season. 2 goals, okay, but you know, I keep saying, and I will trademark it. Not my captain. I think we still scream out for a real leader. I'm glad Dummett's back. I'm Mankio. I agree with Chris and Pete. You know, I think we need them. I think Almiron is a risk, and I think it's a huge gamble by Bruce. I'm not sure if if he's fit, great. And he's 100%, and the knee is healed up, and it's all good, then happy days. But I just have this funny feeling that it's a big gamble from Bruce, that it's kind of a last roll of the dice. Almiron goes in, hopefully for a win. We lose, or he gets injured or pulls up with 20 minutes to go. I'm just slightly worried about that. Fraser needs to have a good game. I thought he did okay against West Brom. I thought he was unlucky to get taken off. Joe Linton was never going to get dropped, same as Shelvey. I would have liked to have seen Longstaff back in instead of Shelvey. I think Lallana for Brighton might just have a decent game tonight. I think he's good at set plays. He's doesn't have that pace anymore that he had when he was with Liverpool, but he's very clever with the ball. He can see a pass, and I think Chris said with the likes of Maupay and Welbeck, it only takes one slip ball through the middle of defence. And one of those boys is away, and Welbeck's got pace, so I think we need to watch that. But yeah, look, the team is as it is. I think everybody said the same. I would have loved to have seen Richie in. I put my team up there today. I had Richie in the team. I would have loved to have seen him back in. But look, I think Bruce was always going to name his own, and pretty much they named themselves. So yeah, look, I'd love to see us do something tonight. I think one stat to remember, I think Brighton have only won once at home all season, I think. So, either they're going to change that stat or we are, and add another loss to their column. So let's see which John Joe turns up tonight, and I'll remain positive for now. Let's see where we get to.
Holly, what's your take on tonight's lineup before we get to Kieran and then get the predictions?
I think the lineup's not that bad. Like, I know it's not the most inspiring lineup, but I don't think it's too bad. Like, the keeper and the back four is pretty decent. Of course, most of us wouldn't want to see John Joe Shelby in there, but hopefully he has a good game, because when he's up for it, he does have a good game. So we've just got to pray that he is in one of those moods where he decides to actually play well. The front three, I don't mind Joe Linton being in. I know this probably won't be the most popular opinion, but I'd rather have Joe Linton in than Dwight Gale. My first choice would have been Andy Carroll, of course, but it doesn't look like he's going to get a look at, because I don't know what he's got to do to get back in that team. He's even said that he really wants to play and he's up for it, and then Bruce still doesn't pick him. So what can you say about that, really? But Almiron, I'm a little bit worried about that, because of course I'm happy to see him back in, and I can understand why Bruce put him in, because obviously with the position we're in, we're just so desperate to have those front three back, so he's just going to rush them straight back. But then I hope it doesn't go against us and then he'll get injured or just something bad will happen. I'm a little bit worried.
Okay, and last but by no means least, Kieran, your take on tonight's lineup, please, as the teams take the pitch. Oh, you're on mute, Kieran, I think. Are you on mute? Can you hear us, Kieran? Having sound difficulties? Should have lain on your bed. Can you hear us? You can obviously hear us. You're laughing. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. Your microphone must be turned down, mate. Let's go around and get quick predictions while Kieran sorts his sound out. Daz, prediction, you must feel like it's going to be a win then?
Yeah, that's a win for me. 1-0. 1-0 Newcastle.
1-0, not that confident then. Richie?
No.
I think we'll definitely get something, but I'm going to say I think we'll get a sneaky either 1-0 or 2-1, something like that.
Sneaky 1-0 or 2-1. Chris here?
Yeah, I usually say 2-1 when we need a win, but I'm going to go with 1-0. Cheeky.
1-0 to Newcastle. Pete?
2-1 Newcastle. Come on.
2-1 Newcastle. Chris Hall.
0-0.
0-0. Okay.
0-0.
Martin.
Just don't see goals.
I am positive, but I'm going to stick with Brucey's run and that continuing, so I'm going 1-1.
Same as me, 1-1. Holly.
0-0 as well.
Ooh, 0-0. And Kieran, can we hear you?
No.
Kieran, we can't hear you.
Kieran 1, voice 0.
Kieran, you might have to move back to your bed and get your earphones in, plug your headphone in. It might be the new headset. Could be the new headset. We're waiting. Just give us a thumbs up when you're back. We'll keep an eye out for you. Okay, the teams have taken the pitch. We'll give you one more run through of the lineups. Martin Dubravka in goal. Javier Manquillo, Jamal Lascelles, Kieran Clark, Paul Dummett, Isaac Hayden, John Joe Shelby, Joe Willock, Ryan Fraser, Miguel Almiron and Joe Linton starting for Newcastle. And for Brighton, that sounded like Kieran. Sanchez, White, Dunk, Basuma, Maupe, Trossard, Gross, Lallana, Moda, Welbeck and Veltman are the starting 11 for Brighton. You've heard the teams, you've heard our panel's predictions. Let's see how this game goes. Big shout out again to our sponsors as always, Spider VPN, who were involved with us last month and this month for your internet protection. Also a big shout out to Geordie Riffs, premium guitar lessons for beginners and children, guitar repairs and service and recording studio. Give them a follow on Instagram at Geordie Riffs. That's where they're looking for some support. Their website's geordieriffs.co.uk and Geordie Riffs Official on Facebook. Big shout out to qtechshop.co.uk, the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend, and to Jab Signature, who do all our flyers and are launching their new boxing range very, very soon. So keep an eye out on their socials for that. New time visitor to the channel, click subscribe, bottom right hand corner, hit the Newcastle Legends emblem, and it's as simple as that. It is free. Hit the little thumb to like the video and give it a share as well to help us build our community, and join the chat as well. That will be good. Is that Kieran? I feel like I'm trying to communicate with Mars here. It's always.
Steve, can I just give a shout out to Gareth from Spider VPN? I reached out to him the other night because I'm after a VPN for home. Unfortunately, we weren't allowed to enter the competitions on Liam's show. So I reached out to him and he's actually given us a 6-month free subscription. So thank you very much, Gareth.
Oh, fantastic. Well done. That's great stuff. Thanks very much for that, Gareth. Yeah, he did say it. He would try and help some of you out, guys. So if anybody else is fancying it, get in touch with Gareth and he will certainly do that. So we've kicked off. Here we go. Let's, as always, see what we think is the formation. Talk in the chat earlier on of it potentially being Fraser through the middle. Obviously, we've got Joe Linton and Fraser and Almiron in there. Big questions really as to whether Almiron can last the full game. That Kraft story, Daz, is interesting. I mean, it's not been reported. It's a rumour, one of those rumours that I tend to pick up from time to time. Strange situation if that is the case, isn't it? And it came from the same source that's told us that there was a bit of a bust up with ASM. And that he'd been booked on a flight and then didn't get on it. Again, it's just that dressing room unrest, and those kind of things don't do the squad morale any good, do they? Really?
No, and if that story is true, then it's a very strange one. But I'm delighted to see Manquillo back. I don't rate Kraft at all. I think he's a weak link when he does play, and other opposing teams attack that side. Then when they see him playing. Okay, just an early chance there from Brighton. I remember in the 3-0 defeat, they scored a goal after 4 minutes. I think it was a penalty or something like that. So let's hope we get through the first 4 minutes at least. Don't rate Kraft. Maybe there's more behind it as well. Maybe there is something major that he would have to go home for, or if there was something that you can understand if it was something major. But if it's just a spin home. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But happy he's not playing. Either way.
Yeah, me too. P. Davison says, thanks to the Loaded Lads and John from QTech for my t-shirt and my mug. I love them. Good shout out for the Loaded Lads. Yeah, Rich, it's the dressing room stuff is still niggling away, isn't it? And if Kraft has got to go and see the family, that's fair enough. But like anybody who's at work, you do it in your own time.
Completely agree with you. Look, How many of us would, we work and you turn around and say, I'm just going to leave early today because I want to catch the earlier bus to can't get to see the family. But just turn around and say, no, I'd sack you. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, this is what he's paying. We're paying his wages. He should honour at least his working hours at least. And if he's got a game tonight and he has to travel back to Sweden, half a day later or whenever, then fair enough, tough shit for me. That's simple as. How he's a Swedish international, if he's going back to play for Sweden over this international break, I do not know. He wouldn't make half the teams in the Championship, let alone being an international fullback. He's just absolutely appalling. And I'm just so glad that Mankio was back because at the moment he's our best right back.
Oh, good save.
Yeah, opening 3 minutes hasn't been very positive for Newcastle. It's got to be said. 2 chances for Brighton already. They've certainly started this game a lot livelier than Newcastle, and looks like we might have a work cut out. But Dubravka equal to both Brighton attacks so far. Chris A, Kraft. He's no big miss really, but it's just that whole kind of negativity again getting out. It appears that Bruce's efforts to find the mole has failed miserably.
Yeah, as with everything else Bruce has done pretty much or not done. It just, like they say, the fish rot from the head, and we've got.
Is that an old? It's like a mafia saying, is it?
Yeah, yeah, and between Ashley, Charnley, and Bruce, we couldn't have a more rotten head, or Justin Barnes, whatever you want to call him. He doesn't have not even a director of the club. He basically controls the club, or does Mike Ashley's bidding. So yeah, Kraft. I said before, I wouldn't have him anywhere near the club, even before his antics with COVID and family or international play. I don't understand the scouting of this club. I mean, for a club that wants to spend limited resources, you think that they would do their due diligence and to know if they're going to even spend $5 million on a player, that it's not going to a person who doesn't even compete in like League One. So it's just baffling some of the decisions that under Rafa he couldn't get anyone over age of 28 and couldn't get the club to spend $10 million, and then we go out and spend $40 million on a nothing player, and $5 million here and $10 million there on players that don't belong in the Premier League. So this club needs to be overhauled root and branch, but again, nothing's going to be done as Mike Ashley controls the club and owns the club. He won't put any money into it. So we're going to keep getting Crafts and Joe Lintons, and very rarely get a player like Almiron, or when he's healthy and not in France or in COVID. St. Maximin.
Yep, okay. Pete, the mole hasn't been found, still down his hole, but lots of bad news still coming out of St. James's Park. It's just unsettling, I feel, for morale, really.
Yeah, it's unsettling, and that's all it is. I mean, I couldn't care less about Kraft, if I'm honest with you. If he doesn't want to be part of the squad and doesn't want to travel, fine. There are players that can play there and do a job there that will play considerably better than him. He's not cut out for English football at any level. Maybe Italy and France are his level, where it's a lot slower paced and you can get away with a lot more there. But look, it's never good to have that sort of extra negativity coming out, but particularly over the course of 2 really big games like West Brom and then again today with it coming out. It's not ideal, but it is what it is. With the manager we've got and with the owners and the guys upstairs that we've got, this is going to happen because they don't care. It's as simple as that. They don't care about the club. They're not that interested. Any other club, they would keep it quiet, they would keep it in-house, there'd be policies and expectations in place on how to manage that. And unfortunately, at our club, we don't have that level of organisation at the top. So those kind of things are always going to continue to happen. You know, you watch whatever new owner comes in, whenever that is, you watch that change, because that's the standard that it should be at every elite football club. And in the Premier League, you are an elite club, and that's how it should be. But it is what it is. I just wanted to add, just in the first 7-8 minutes, we haven't got to grips with their wing back system, and we're really struggling with it. And they've got a lot of ins because their wing backs are bombing on, and our full backs are having to mark 2 players, and that's a big worry for me. And that's already 8 minutes in, and it is very, very similar to what it was at St James's Park.
Yeah, no score, 8 minutes gone, and Newcastle 0, Brighton 0. But as Pete just said, Newcastle certainly starting on the back foot here, Chris. Kraft's story's not a good one if that does get out, and it still adds to the this horrible drab atmosphere around the football club at the moment.
Yeah, it does, and the biggest disappointment for me, Steve, is, and I don't think anyone's mentioned this yet, is the fact that you can half see where Kraft's coming from if the stories are true, because he's probably looking at it and thinking, well, I want to go home and see my family, and St Maximin can basically do what he wants. So because there's no rule.
Great point.
There's no rule, so he's probably thinking, well, if he can, why can't I? And this is the problem. It's all going from the top to the bottom. It's not being managed properly. And that's where squad unrest comes from, because there's no leadership, as we keep saying for these last few weeks and months. There's no leadership, and don't get me wrong, when it comes to players wanting to go home, I'm probably a bit cutthroat on this. I think I've said this months and months ago on the show. In my opinion, footballers, they're not really in the real world. I mean, if you or I were on 30, 40, 50 grand a week, and I wanted to go home and see my family, you've got to kind of take a reality check and go, hang on a minute, I'm getting paid a lot of money here. Have a Zoom call. Or why don't you just pay for your family to come and see you? You've got to have a little bit of a reality check. And unfortunately, if you're getting paid that amount of money, and the position that we're in and the seriousness of the position that we're in, there's got to be a zero tolerance. But unfortunately, because by the looks of things, St Maximin can basically do what he wants, that's going to cause unrest within the squad. As it happens, it's Kraft. So as a fan base, we're just like, well, great, you go if you want. But that shouldn't really be the attitude. It should be, we're all here, we're all in this together, whether you're in the squad or you're not, you stay here. You're getting paid handsomely by the club. You're here to do a job. Or you turn around and go, yeah, sure, you can go home. How long do you want to go for? 3-4 weeks? Okay, well, you're not getting paid from us. So you go home, that's fine. And I'm sure they'll change the tune if you were to do that. And that's probably the biggest disappointment for me. I'm sorry, I was just watching the game there. This is going to be a long match, isn't it? We're 11 minutes in, and we are really struggling.
You know what, Chris? Just to add to your point, if he's that desperate to go home, you know what he should do is not go on international duty, stay with his family.
Yeah, exactly.
Because as a Premier League player, as an elite footballer at club level, you are committed to the squad and committed to playing football. But you're not. It's not compulsory that you go and play for the international setup.
No.
You can decline it, and there's many players that have done over the years. So if he's that desperate to go home and see his family, don't get called up for Sweden. You're going to get in the squad anyway because he plays every time. He's going to play at the Euros, so he doesn't need to go and play for them. So that's there's the compromise. That's what I'd be saying to him. Don't go and play for your national team, mate.
I think one of the main differences, the slight difference between St Maximin and Kraft is Kraft's fit. If he's eligible to be picked for the team, he should be there no matter what. If the regime, however we agree with it or not, whether they should be trading and doing their rehab with the club, if they've let him go to France on both occasions when he had COVID and he's got this injury now, then so be it, whether we like it or not. But at the end of the day, Kraft wanting to go home, but he's fit. And if he's fit and he's, if Bruce wanted to play him, he should be here. Simple as.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Good points. Martin, what's your take on this whole Kraft situation?
Yeah, I think all the points the lads are making is right, and I think one of the biggest things for me is the clubs, as much as they pay the wages and the manager, the hierarchy above, they don't have the power. The players have the power. So the problem is Kraft gets, probably a nod over the last couple of weeks to say, listen, you're being replaced in the team. And, he's going, lads, don't give a crap. I'm off home. If I'm not playing, I'm not there. And the problem is the club don't do anything. If you think about, and I take Pete's point, if you think about, 10, 15 years ago, if a Manchester United player did that while Alex Ferguson was there,
be murder.
There'd be absolute murders on. So I think the problem is, it's just that leadership starts at the top of the club. If he goes off, okay, he wants to play for his country, do that, but make the right excuses. Don't bring family, as Chris said. Bring him home. Bring him to the UK. I'm sure he's got a very nice house somewhere. Not short of a bob or two to bring him over on a private flight and keep him for a month. They go past any kind of points regarding, isolation and everything else. So I think the problem is player power. The game has changed from a point, and I think a lot of it as well is there's no other than maybe some homegrown players. There's no loyalty anymore to clubs, and I think you see that in contracts and you see that in player moves, and I think you see it in players doing what they want to do because they get so much money. It doesn't even matter if they get fined a week's wages. Sure, they get 80 grand again next week. So where's the threat? If we got docked a week's wages or a month's wages, sure, that's my mortgage not paid. These lads aren't worrying about that because probably most of them are in clubhouses. So
yeah. Any possession stats, says Ben? Yeah, 81% possession for Brighton, 19% possession for Newcastle. No surprise there at all, Ben, with those stats. Holly, the mole hasn't been caught, and the Kraft story's out now. And it's just been a season of that kind of leak, hasn't it, from the dressing room? And it just shows that Bruce really hasn't got much control.
It does, and although I think most of us are quite happy to hear some of those stories, like about Richie and stuff that were getting leaked, it's not very good for the team because it just adds to the pressure on Bruce and stuff, like in terms of the relegation battle. But this is one of the biggest problems, I think, with this relegation battle that we're in, is the fact that the players just couldn't care. Like, Emil Kraft's like, oh, I'd rather go home. Like, that just shows you how little they actually care about this club, because if they'd rather just go home to see their family, which they can do at any time, unless it was obviously like an emergency situation, then like, why can't you just go and see them at another time? Not while your club is literally fighting tooth and nail to stay up in the Premier League. It shows so much just disrespect from Emil Kraft. But to be honest, if he wants to go home, he can go there and just stay there for me and not come back, because I wouldn't care if he never came back to Newcastle. Like, he's absolutely rubbish. Like, honest to God, I'd rather play someone out of position than have him can't get my words out, than have him there, because he's honestly just like, well, what does he do? Absolutely nothing. So yeah, and I wouldn't have him playing if that is the truth, because if he can't come to a game because he'd rather see his family and he's still going to play for his international team, then just don't bother coming back. Just leave the club.
Yeah, I do want to wish a happy birthday to Gary Miles. I'm not sure whether he heard Jake Burns from Stiff Little Fingers earlier on wish him happy birthday, but your daughter got in touch with us and asked us to give you a shout out. So happy 51st birthday, Gary. I know you watch all the shows. I know you've donated a little bit to the food bank in your time as well. So hope you had a good day as best you can under these conditions. Kieran, are you with us yet? No, we still can't hear you, Kieran.
He's having a mare.
He is. Can you not do it on your phone, Kieran?
I feel his pain.
Kieran, you can hear us. You can definitely hear us, but we can't hear you, mate. So if you could get back on your phone, maybe use the old method, use the old system, might work. Good idea. You can definitely hear us, which is good. So 16 minutes in, Brighton 0, Newcastle 0. It's all been Brighton. 81% possession. Daz, any bright spots yet?
Oh, bright spots, no. We're too soft in the centre. Almiron is defending from the front, but he seems to be the only one. They're allowing Brighton to get over that halfway line with pretty much unchallenged, and then start an attack Brighton. Too soft in the middle for me. Good to see Almiron running and doing what he does best, running all over the place. But no, Brighton are definitely having they've had a few chances. We have had very little in their half, really. But yeah, I think as Chris H said, it could be a long night for us. I'd be happy with the smash and grab, though. I'd take it.
I'd happy with a smash and grab as long as we don't get into a debate about what a smash and grab is. It happened again the other week, and I was pretty, I just stopped. I stopped answering the question. I did find this, lads. I actually couldn't find the rattle. I did find it. So this is how I was optimistic that we were going to get a goal today. Anyway, still 0-0, Rich. 18 minutes gone. We have ventured into their half a couple of times, Rich. But yeah, it's. Is this down to the formation? Is this down to the players that we've picked? I mean, for me, I only saw the match of the day highlights, Rich. I only saw the match of the day highlights from last week, but there's no doubt about it. Murphy came on and changed the game. For me, I was crying out for Murphy, to be starting a couple of weeks ago. Playing two orthodox wingers, left and right, playing people up front. It's not rocket science, is it? Play Fraser on one side, play Murphy on the other. Have, Andy Carroll and Dwight Gale up front. Surely to God, that's what most people would do.
I think we've said this all season, though. Bruce is renowned for putting round pegs in square holes. He just doesn't pick anything that's sensible at all. He's not like a progressive manager. He's a reactive manager. He reacts to the situation that happened on the pitch. He doesn't think, how can I change this to get a positive result? You look at the Villa game. He changed everything round with 4 minutes to go when we went behind. But as soon as we went behind, when Murphy was on and Carroll was on, we looked at a goal threat. We looked like, if that played that longer, we could have got something extra from the game. It's just abysmal for some of the stuff that he does. Regards to tonight, the formation, I think at the minute it looks like we played 8 versus 11 because our midfield's gone missing. Even our defenders, when they're getting the ball, it seems to be they're just playing long balls up front for the two wingers. There's that midfield at the moment is getting outrun when they've got the ball and getting nowhere near it, and then the ball just going nowhere near them when we've got the ball. I would certainly think that this formation needs to be changed. And if we're going to go for the wingers, as you said, we've got to put Murphy on, or even Richie as well, to get some decent balls in. But you've got to do that. You've got to play your strikers, and you've got to play people like Gale and Carroll. Not do what they tend to do. He has done in the past, where you have your wingers on and don't have Carroll on, then you bring Carroll on and take your wingers off. It's just some of the decisions he makes throughout the game. Bruce's game management is just absolutely terrible. It's atrocious. I think my 11-year-old son could pick a better team and give better tactics than what Bruce could give.
Yeah, Chris, not the greatest of starts. We've got a little bit of stopping play. Manquillo's took a knock, but he's getting back up. He'll be fine. But yeah, it's not a great start in a proverbial 6-pointer. This is it?
No, yeah, you see, pretty much. I don't know what the possession is, but every other minute you see Brighton making a run, and Dubravka forced to make a save. And I really can't remember the last time that Newcastle was pressuring in the final third, their final third. So it's been quite an uneven match. And I hate this sort of this cliche of sense of urgency, but I don't feel like Newcastle is playing like this is a must-win game. I feel like Brighton feels that this is a must-win for them, but I sort of feel that Newcastle is kind of half in, half out, half-arsed, and is not treating this match like sort of the do or die that all of us feel that it is. And maybe they'll survive and stay up, and this outcome of this match won't matter. But I feel like win, lose, or draw, it sets the tone for the rest of the season. And whether or not this is the decisive 3 points that keeps us up, or the not points that brings us down, I feel like this is a statement game, no matter what the ultimate decisiveness of the match is. And at the beginning of our session, I said I don't remember the last sort of time that Newcastle stepped up and won a match that they had to win or were expected to win. You talk about smash and grab, and there's been some exciting finishes to matches and sort of unexpected results, and Bruce has gotten lucky a lot of times, but I don't feel like they've really put a total match together where we were impressed, and they said this was a crucial game for them, and the lads stepped up. I feel like it's just not there. It's not there for them, and I don't know what it takes. Whether the squad sort of feels that they want to they want to get rid of Bruce, and the way to do it is to not get results. Or I don't think that's what a Premier League club does is to play to get the manager sacked. I feel like these lads do have pride in their club, do realize that going down would be a massive blow to their careers and their teachers at Newcastle. I just don't feel that the seriousness of which we treat this match is being replicated on the field. I feel like it's just a bunch of guys. It's just it's 10 or 11 guys that are playing, for their paychecks and not paying for the future of the club and the city and really the whole Northeast. Steve's on mute.
Benny, I knocked it off because somebody tried to ring it. The NUFC fans foodbank.co.uk match day bucket is out. That's what I've been asked to promote. And JD Sports £50 gift card offer is on. So just check out the foodbank.co.uk, the match day bucket. John has just messaged us there. I'm not sure what the gift card thing is all about. He's just trying to let us know. But if you visit the website, I'm sure it tells you on there. But yeah, Pete, your views on the opening 25 minutes?
I'll be honest, I'm worried. I'm worried for us. I mentioned about the wing backs of Brighton getting far too much joy down there, and it seems like at times it's a 2-on-1 situation with our two fullbacks. And to be fair to Managerial and Dummett, they've actually managed it really, really well. But what they're now starting to do is Mopé is starting to pull out wide. He's pulling one of our centre-backs out, and on one of our centre midfielders is not setting in. So when the ball's going into the box, there's a gigantic hole there where there's only one centre-back filling that spot. And luckily enough, we've been able to clear it. But at some point, we're going to get punished for that because either Trossard, I think Gross, they're making those runs into that little space. And at some point, they're going to get some joy from it. Look, we're still in the game. Dubravka's had a couple of saves to make, but they're very, very routine saves. They're not causes that many problems. Look, the way this game's laid out, we're playing long balls up to Joe Linton, but Joe Linton has got a touch of a donkey. So it's not holding up. The ball's just disappearing. The ball's just there was an offside a minute ago for us, and we had a free kick. Dubravka played the ball down on the right hand side. Joe Linton, unchallenged, just heads it out of play, and it's like, come on,
yeah.
We're just giving possession back. They've already got 80+ possession as it is, and we're just handing it back to them. And the one thing, if you look at their defence, is where we can really trouble them is pace. Because they like too much time on the ball, and if we disrupt them with pace, we can really cause them problems. So I'm hoping that we're still in the game long enough that the likes of Jacob Murphy can come on and really impact on that right hand side. But as I say, we're still in the game. It's touch and go. It's really, really touch and go. I do not know how this game is going to go because we have not started the game in the way that I thought we would.
Oh, come on. Brighton through again, just staying with this, is they just seem to be getting the ball trapped in their feet. Newcastle just seem to be getting the ball away just at the right time. But, I mean, that can only happen for so long. It's dismal to watch. Holly, it's not been great, has it? And this is a 6-pointer. The only positive I can get out of this so far is that Brighton just aren't taking their opportunities.
Yeah, Brighton have been all over really, and if they were a bit more clinical, we probably could have had a couple of goals or at least one by now. It's just we seem to be quite lucky that we managed to get the ball away. But of course, if we continue playing like that for the rest of the game, then we won't be able to keep a clean sheet. But it's just really, really like worrying to see again, because I feel like it's always the same thing with the fact that the other team always looks like the one that's playing for the points and that need the points, whereas it's us that need the points. Well, of course, Brighton need them as well, but we just look like we're not bothered. Like, oh, we're fine, we're safe. That's how we look like we're playing. And the fans know that this is a 6-pointer game, but it's like the manager and the players just don't see that, and they're just playing like they honestly have no cares in the world. They need to be more alert, just going for it more, because they're just honestly just sitting back and just like, I mean, what even is this? It doesn't even look like a professional football team, to be honest. It looks like some kind of like, you know what it looks like? It looks like when there's a League Cup game and you're playing like a League One side versus like a Premier League side. I just don't understand how we're playing at the minute. I think Miggy's been quite good, but it's ridiculous how many shots they're having and how we're just allowing it to happen. We're playing very, very dangerously, just not being good enough, and I really hope that we'll step it up soon, because this isn't going to end well.
No, it's not. Brighton again pushing forward in Newcastle's half. Ball coming in, but final ball's poor. Newcastle just managing to clear it again, Chris. And as we reach the half-hour mark, I guess we've done well to get to this stage of the game, not conceding a goal.
Yeah, to be honest, Steve, I've got to be honest, mate. It's. Sorry, I've just seen that.
Yeah, just pausing there as Brighton did get back into the box, but Lascelles was pushed over, and it's a free kick to Newcastle. Free kick to Newcastle.
Yeah, I'm not going to beat about the bush, Steve. It's fucking garbage. It's just garbage. We're back. This game now is just, it's bringing back 2-3 months ago. No intensity, no idea, no desire to win. It feels like, I think Holly's just hit the nail on the head. It feels a bit like David versus Goliath, and we're obviously David, and you're thinking we're playing like we're playing away to Man City, and David we're petrified. Won. Oh yeah, David won. I know David won, and hopefully we win. But it's almost like we're the underdogs, and we're lucky to be on the pitch, and we're imitating the team that is 2 or 3 leagues below this team, and we're just delighted to even be playing. Like we're having a day out at Wembley. It's absolutely disgusting. I feel so sorry for Miggy. Miggy is just doing all of our pressing, all of our pushing, and he just keeps pushing Lewis Dunk. He just keeps running over to Lewis Dunk. Lewis Dunk goes, great, I'll just play it out wide. And nobody else is pushing. And Shelby's doing his usual, sitting back. He's drifting further and further and further back towards the defence. Willock and Hayden are pretty far back. And Miggy's just desperately trying to do something. Joe's out wide on the right. Fraser's out wide on the left. So once the ball goes through the middle, is he onside?
Yeah.
Welbeck's got all the time in the world to pick a cross out. Yeah, it's so disappointing, Steve, and it just feels like we're back to where we were. It really does, and I'm just not looking forward to watching the rest of this game, if I'm honest, because it only looks like it's going one way. We're set up, and I think you said this, before. I know you weren't on the previous game, Steve. We're set up for a draw. That's what we're doing, and if we get away with a draw, Steve Bruce will say how fantastic we've done. The run we're on's fantastic, and if Brighton score, which I hope to God they don't, there's no way back in this game. Or if they do score, he'll make substitutions in the 85th minute to try and go for it and win it. Instead of he's pacing up and down the touchline, and instead of looking at the game and thinking, hang on, we're getting absolutely outplayed here by a Brighton side who are only just above us, and they haven't got a very good home record. Let's give them a few problems. Let's try and force their hands. This isn't working. Let's shake it up a little bit. But instead, we're just going through the motions, watching the clock and thinking, oh, the longer it stays 0-0, the better. And again, I'm not totally opposed to that approach. If we're playing a Liverpool, a Man City, a Chelsea, I understand that. But when I think it was Chris said, we need the points. We're in a relegation battle. Fulham have lost yesterday. This is our opportunity to go 5 points clear with a game in hand. And we're just sleepwalking to a point, which we're all keeping our fingers crossed to that we get. And that's one of the reasons why I predicted 0-0, because I expected this performance, albeit I expected a little bit better than this. But we've not had a shot, and we don't even look like having a shot.
It comes to something when in our own private chat, Chris is just talking about beer and not even talking about the match.
yeah.
He's becoming a raging alcoholic since he started doing these shows. Like he's not actually walking from place to place for work. He's walking looking for off licenses that are open during lockdown. That's what he's been doing. Martin. Yeah, it's funny, Chris. Martin, the game's over. I mean, Chris has just made the point there about last night as well. If there's an incentive for Newcastle to turn up and, the real Newcastle to turn up today, it should have been Leeds beating Fulham, doing us a favour and saying, look, lads, this is going to take the pressure off everybody. Let's go out there and really give it all we've got. Clearly, Steve Bruce, Graham Jones and the other Steves just haven't done that.
You know what? I think like me and Daz and Chris and Rich were talking about this earlier in the week. We had a good chat probably before I was massively inebriated on Wednesday night. But I don't think we were ever going to turn up. And I think it's purely that team of coaches, okay, maybe take Jones to one side, but I don't think they're able to get anything more out of this squad. I don't think they know what to do. I mean, I can see Bruce talking to Amir on there, but he's probably just telling them he knows where there's a good chipper on the south coast. So, I think it is disappointing. But I think I think what you see with that 11, Willock, okay, is here on loan. Fraser, we know, or I certainly think has a bit of an attitude problem. The other players, I think, are just turning up to collect a paycheck. I think Richie made a point. I don't think there's any cohesion. There's nobody out there going blood and guts, getting tackled. Like, where's any player trying to win second ball? Like, where's anybody getting the fucking yellow here? Or even getting stuck in, doing anything. There's no drive or determination. Midfield is drifting back. We're playing a long ball to Joe Linton, who, Pete could play better than him up there.
I know I could.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's the thing. But this is a game, really, we should be blood and guts going after. It's 3 points. They've only won one game at home. We should have gone there, all guns blazing. Carroll and Gale, for me, should have started. I think the setup was wrong. And I can't see goals coming in this. Playing it to Almiron and Hope, which I think is Bruce's tactic, is give it to Miggy, let him run. I give it to Fraser, let him run, or pump a long ball up and hope Joe Linton might win one. It's nonsense, absolute. It's crap to watch. Watch Fraser just run all the way now and score, look like a dick. But
they've just changed it up, Martin. So I read Bruce's lips when the break was on, and they've put Joe Linton through the middle, and Almiron's gone on the right hand side now. I think Almiron said something to him. He's either fucked or he's saying to him, "I'm working too hard here, and I'm only just back after weeks of playing."
Yeah, he will.
I think they've switched it round and put Joe Linton through the middle.
Yeah, that's what I said. The risk of bringing him back, it's a gamble from Bruce. It's a gamble.
He's already ran more than any other player on the pitch, and he's only, that's after 35 minutes.
He ain't gonna last 60.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, it's. I think the sad thing is everybody sitting on this panel and probably a lot of people watching us. Everybody. I seen Twitter today. Loads of people are optimistic. Let's go down there. We can do this. We can do that. And we turn on, and it's the same old.
Shit. Fucks.
Yeah, I mean Newcastle.
I'm always behind you guys, even on the live TV and no stream.
Yeah, I mean Newcastle whipped the ball in. I mean it went painfully wide. Steve Bruce turning away up Joe Linton, I think it was, with a header.
Hayden.
Hayden it was. Yeah, Hayden at the back. Hayden at the back post. Didn't even get it on.
He couldn't see for the sun there.
didn't even get it on target. Kieran, are you with us? No.
Silent Bob Kieran.
Yeah.
Kieran, this is just
The whole
He's had
match,
enough.
no.
He's like, oh, fair, my bloody head's not working.
I can hear him smashing and stamping on his phone. Smashing and
Nothing's
stamping on his
Mark,
phone.
you can do his bit.
I know, I'll do Kieran. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, Steve. I'm not even watching it. I swear to fuck, I ain't even watching it. Look at my curtains. Look, I'm not even watching.
I tell you what, like, it's very unlike Kieran to be quiet. That's for certain. It's a bit of a pity because he's a good lad. Good to have him. Always good to have him on the show, and hopefully he gets his technical side sorted out. Coming up to 38 minutes as Brighton are in again. They're getting closer. They're getting closer, and again Newcastle managed to get it away outside the box. Brighton regained possession again. We're getting asked a few questions in the chat. Somebody asking, do you just think the players have given in? Are they trying to get Bruce out themselves? I mean, I don't even think it's that. I mean, watching that little break there where Martin was talking about Almiron getting a little bit of a pointer from Steve Bruce. What was obvious to me there was too many people having their say. Some people were listening to Steve Bruce Daz. Some people were listening to Graham Jones. Steve Agnew standing down there. There was more than one voice, and it doesn't matter what level of football you play, Daz. That can be confusing for players. You don't know who you're supposed to be really listening to.
Yeah, too many chefs. I suppose like there should be one focal point, one leader, and the sub coaches assisting that into getting that same message across. If it's mixed messages, we know what happened there before. We don't need to go back to that Richie incident. But we need one strong voice. At this moment in time, I'm just hoping we get to half time when 0-0. We need a win. A draw is useless to us, really, in the greater scheme of things. But just at this moment in time, I'm just hoping for a draw, maybe then some kind of a switch up of some sort. But we know he's going to wait to the 65th minute, bring on the likes of Murphy. Then I think he seems to be kind of trying to just hang on and then break at the real end of it. Can we stay 0-0 and then have a go? What? This is what we're just sick of seeing that crap. Like, I can't remember the last time we've just gone out and had a go from the start, rather than leaving to the end.
I mean, that's a gamble. I mean, of course, 65 minutes and we're still 0-0. I mean, look, what he's just mentioned in the chat, Brighton don't score goals. Yeah, scored 2 last weekend, but that is a break from the norm. They haven't really scored many goals this season. A lot of creativity, lots of shots on goal, but none on target, really. That's the problem that they've had. So, maybe Bruce's gamble might pay off. It's a roll of a dice. It's gets to 65 minutes, we're 0-0, and then suddenly brings Murphy and Carroll on, and things change, and Newcastle win 1-0. We'll all be cheering. Almiron's just hit the deck, which isn't good either. He's rolling around again, and maybe's might not make the end of this half. Wait and see whether he's going to get some treatment. Just double check there. But yeah, I mean, Daz, it's you're right. It's a gamble, and that's where Steve Bruce normally would. You lose your job on those kind of decisions if you don't get the decision right.
We just hope that it's not a gamble too far come the end of the season. All these gambles, from top to bottom in the club, are we going to be left in the championship at the end of it all with all these gambles?
Yep. Okay. Rich, coming up to half time, 41 minutes played. It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I like what Daz is saying there. The gamble situation is something I think we'll probably all cross our minds, and having impact players coming off the bench to change things. But it is a gamble, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's as Daz said, it's been too many gambles throughout the season. We looked, we played for the draw against Villa, but then as soon as we went behind, we changed things. And we looked like we could have got more out of the game if we played like that. Villa were there for the taking. To be fair, there's been a lot of teams that we played this season, and we've said it numerous times on Match Day Live, when teams have been there for the taking and we've not done it. I know me and Peter said this numerous times. There's so many teams that we played that have been there for the taking, and we just seem to let the game bypass us. It's absolutely disgraceful that their home record is abysmal. and we've just gone there, and it looks like about 3 games before the end of the season, our survival is secured. We're sitting in the mid-table with now to play for, and that's just how the game's played. This game's going for us. Brighton want this game. They're looking like they are where they are, but it looks like we're in mid-table safety and just don't really care about playing out the rest of the season. And the problem is we've got a lot of the games that we've got for the rest of the season are top 10 teams. We need to be making the most of this game against Brighton. Burnley 2 weeks after the international break, and obviously anything could happen before it gets to the last 2 games of the season, where we need to be in a position where when it comes down to Sheffield United and Fulham, we've got a cushion, because if we don't have a cushion, we are going down.
I don't believe this, by the way. Hayden's down now. It doesn't look good. Looks like an impact injury. It looks severe. And guess who's coming on? Jeff Henry.
Should be Longstaff. Should be Longstaff.
I really don't understand Steve Bruce, but yeah, that looks bad. I'm going to have to see if I can see what happened again, really, before I can give you an accurate indication. But it came
stretcher as well.
Stretcher.
But Brighton were taking a throw in. I've just rewound it here, and it's very, very difficult to see what happened. It was a collision, so the ball comes to Shelvey. And it's weird. The ball came to Shelvey, right? And the ball ricocheted off Shelvey. The Brighton player fell down and rolled into Hayden, taking Hayden out, and it basically hit the side of Hayden's knee, and that's it. His knee, and basically the Brighton player was straight up and looking at Hayden. There must have been a noise or something. He was straight up. But that looks like that could be Hayden's season.
Is that the same
ligaments gone?
Is that the same Brighton player that put the foot in on Lewis?
Well, this was it could have been. It was a definite accident, Daz. Definite accident. I don't know what happened. It's because the camera angle was so poor. I've got to be honest. He's devastated the Brighton player because he knows what happened.
Yeah.
I think it's Basuma.
Yeah, that's who it was. He got sent off the end of the game, our game, didn't he?
It wasn't deliberate. It wasn't deliberate. He basically it was an innocuous challenge. Really, he basically clashed with Shelvey, lost the ball to Shelvey. He ended up on the ground. He rolled, and then he's just basically banged into Hayden, bang into his knee. Awful, long-term injury though that to Hayden, one of our best players.
Yeah. Now we're bringing less legs on in Hendrick.
We're just going to show it again here. You might see it on TV now.
Ooh.
Yeah. He just falls into, doesn't he?
Absolute accident, lads. Absolute
it was accident.
And he calls the referee over straight away, doesn't he? So he's heard something crack, like you said, Steve. Something's gone amiss, hasn't it?
Bloody awful, lad. Absolutely awful. Really, really is.
Yeah, season ended and that.
Yeah, that doesn't look good at all. Like, doesn't look good at all. Again, I mean, just watching the sidelines here. Steve Bruce hasn't got a clue. He's having to listen to what other people are saying. It's just crazy. Absolutely crazy. Okay, Chris here. This isn't good. Obviously going to be 3 minutes added time to this second half. We're waiting for Hayden to get taken off the pitch and for Hendricks to come on, but that's devastating, Chris.
Yeah, it feels like we're on death row now, just waiting for that execution date. You guys don't. We don't have capital punishment here, so that's an outdated reference. But yeah, it's just a devastating blow. Hayden is doesn't show up on the score sheet, but what he does to organize, as a defensive midfielder is, indispensable to the club. And there's really nobody else on the club that does what he does, anything up to that level. So it's, I hear an echo of myself here. Yeah, well, what can you say? I mean, we already had like sort of the deck stacked against us, and this is just one more card that's been played that's not in our favor. So there needs to be, like a total sort of attitude adjustment transplant to this club, because the way that we're going is a mentality that we're already sort of resigned to going down. But I like the other lads have said, we believe that the club has it in them to get the results to stay up. It's just we keep waiting for them to kind of shift into gear, and we sort of feel like we're kind of stuck in neutral or in reverse, waiting for the sort of urgency to set in, and it hasn't set in. And again, maybe the players didn't feel like this was a sort of pivotal game to decide sort of how the rest of the season goes.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
God.
Was coming,
1-0 to
lads.
Brighton.
Was coming. Game over. Good night. God bless.
Game over.
And that was after a load of gesticulating, Chris, here by Graham Jones going like that to whoever he was, obviously to Hendrick. You're the man in the middle there to stop the. You're doing the defending. Absolute garbage. That.
Why is my TV like 3 seconds behind?
I'm not being funny, but we came that.
Cheap.
It was a ball over the top. We let him turn. Kieran Clark, unfortunately, one of my favourite players, let him turn. But just
Got a hand on it, Dubravka, but not enough.
I didn't get a hand to it, mate. Not the angle I saw.
Oh, you're right.
That's a good.
Okay.
Trossard. We mentioned him at the start. Trossard.
Good goal by Trossard. And that's from a team that doesn't score goals. Holly, 1-0 down now. Lost one of our best players. Looks like a season-ending injury for Hayden. Oh, God. Where do we go from here?
I think that's game done. There's no way we'll come back into this game now. Like, I hate to be that person, but we don't have a chance in scoring. Like, Brighton's been all over now that they've scored. That's it. I'm gutted about Hayden. Obviously, he's one of our best players, and he's going to be out probably for this season now. But I had a funny feeling before the game even started that we're getting injured, because I just think it's Newcastle's luck that in a game that's so important we would get an injury or something. It's just awful, absolutely awful. And it comes to something when I went into the game with absolutely no expectations, and yet I still feel disappointed. Like, honestly, it's stupid now. I can't believe just what's going on at the club. And I don't know what the Longstaffs have done. They must have done something very, very, very serious for Steve Bruce to be isolating him like he is. Like, bringing on Jeff Hendrick in this game when we're absolutely rubbish, and all he's going to do is make us even worse. Like, we may as well play with 9 men now. Why would you not bring Sean Longstaff on? It's just, I don't know what he's done, but I'd love to know. And I think Bruce needs to just grow up, to be honest, and move past it and do what's best for the team instead of putting his own personal feelings above anything else. I'm totally fed up.
Yeah, Martin, I think that's everybody on this chat tonight. We're all going to be fed up by the end of this if Steve Bruce doesn't get his finger out and change things at half time.
I think I feel dead sorry for Hayden, because I think he's been real consistent over the season. I think we miss his breaking up what play there is in the middle. The fact we've now got Hendrick and Shelby on gives us absolutely no legs or vision through the middle of that park. You've got Lallana and Trossard and Suma just running through the middle of that. I think it's probably only a matter of time before Brighton maybe score again second half. Dreadful first half from us. Nothing in it, no vision, no play, nothing from the sideline either. Unfortunate for Hayden, really feel for him. Probably a season-ending one. Miggy done a lot of running to no effect. Big risk to me. I'd be taking Miggy off now at 1-0 down, and I'd be maybe switching it around. But no, that was brutal, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't expect much better second half either, unfortunately. Piss poor.
Chris, what do you say to that? I mean, we were just talking to Daz 20 minutes ago, more or less, about the gamble. Holding out for a draw, getting to 65 minutes, and then bringing the subs on. Within 5 minutes of that, we lost Hayden, and we go a goal down.
Yeah, I'm pretty speechless, to be honest, Steve. We all saw this coming, and the really sad thing is, and this is where we are as a fan base and as a club, is I just don't see any way back for tonight, is what I mean. So bringing on Jeff Hendrick for Hayden, it's so predictable. We could have all called it. And if we going forward, if our central midfield is Jeff Hendrick and John Joe Shelby, we're in big trouble, because Hayden has been a really big player for us. He's going to be a massive loss, and I'm just really not looking forward to the second half, because unless Steve Bruce changes things this second half and thinks, right, this isn't working, because clearly it's not. Anyone can see this isn't working. And I've said this many a time, and I know a few other people on the panel have said it. I'd rather lose this game 2 or 3-0 trying than lose this game 1 or 2-0 and continue in this vein, because it is just soul destroying, and certainly for the players, it doesn't inspire any confidence whatsoever. They must be going home, tonight thinking, we've just been outplayed by Brighton, and we're just there's nothing there. There's just absolutely nothing there. Miggy's been training hard all week, trying to get himself fit, get back for this game. What's the point in him coming back? It may as well be. It feels certainly, a bit like a one-man team. Anything moderately offensive goes through Miggy, and he gets so far up the field, and then the options just aren't there. It feels like we've retreated back to what we were before. We're not pressing enough. We're not showing enough desire. We're not looking like we're trying to even compete, even be in the game. It was just a case of, let's try and stay 0-0 as long as possible. And now that plan's, honestly, I'd love to be a fly in the wall on that dressing room. I'd love to see what he's saying to these players. And by the way, not because I'm thinking, wow, he's gonna rile them up. I'd just love to be able to see where the positivity is from that, because I'm not seeing anything positive. And now we've lost arguably one of our better players in the whole squad, to add to the also absence Callum Wilson, Alan St. Maximin. Is it even worth keeping Mickey on the pitch? Because we're not even trying to win the game, so why not just take him off? Take the 1-0 loss and move on to the next game, where maybe we might be able to hang on to a 0-0, or we might be able to nick a goal and get another point to add to the accumulation that we keep speaking about, the accumulation of points. Because the accumulation of points is not going to be added up tonight. We're not getting any points tonight if we continue with this lineup and this formation. We're not getting anything.
You'd be better to throw Carroll and Gale on and just lump ball from midfield.
Just go for it. Just go for it.
You might get something.
Exactly.
You ain't going to get
There's
nothing
no
with what we got. Throw
points to
Carroll
this.
and Gale on and just lump it. Long ball all day long.
Carroll, Gale, bring Murphy on, switch to 4-4-2, getting the crosses in. What I wanted to add as well, Steve, from the game last week, I don't know whether the highlights showed it or not, but Paul Dummett must have whipped in about 4 or 5 excellent crosses in the first half, and Joe was trying his best, trying to get on them. But all that we were thinking was, just imagine Andy Carroll was in the middle for them. He'd have definitely got on 1 or 2 of them. And unfortunately, Joe's not prolific in the air, as we all know. I don't actually know what Joe is.
Or on the ground.
Yeah, I don't actually know what Joe is good at, if I'm honest. I mean, Pete summed it up before, when the ball came up and he challenged, and to be fair, he had 2 players round him. He won the header and headed it out for a throw into Brighton.
Somebody's asking how Willock's doing. I've got to be honest, I think he's been fairly anonymous since he made his debut at Newcastle. He's been completely bruised, and that's because he's playing in a crap midfield. We're not playing our best players in midfield, and that is the problem. And we're playing Bruce's mates. We're playing bloody Shelby, who's absolutely rank useless and shouldn't be anywhere near the first team. I keep saying this time and time again, but unfortunately, because Bruce is obviously pals with him or is shit scared of him and doesn't want to upset him, and have him against him in the dressing room, that's why he's constantly playing him. It's as simple as that. When really we've got better talent sitting on the bench and some of them not even in the bloody squad. Look, Matty Longstaff and Sean Longstaff aren't world beaters. They're never going to play for Bayern Munich or Man United or Man City or whoever. You know what I mean? They're not that good. But for me, they're better than some of the crap we've got in black and white shirts at the minute. Kieran, are you back with us?
Can you hear me now?
Yay!
Here he is.
That's it. You've gone in some kind of cave now, and we can hear you perfectly well, mate. Good stuff. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing what you...
I came in at the bloody wrong time, didn't I?
Well, I'm looking... You came back just in time when you can't. No, to be honest, mate, we're fair enough, right? Hayden got injured. We conceded a goal. You came back, but we've been shite all half, mate. Yeah. I mean, have you managed to see the game?
Or I turned it off now. Someone's put the golf on, so we're not even watching it. But from what I did see, it was a shambles. If we play like that, I think we're down anyway. To be honest, I think we're down, and also it's an international break as well, and not only that, the owner's got a decision to make here because we could be in big trouble, and the fact that there's potentially there's been rumours of fans being now back into the stadium as well. He's not going to want to see Bruce getting shouted at and all that. So why not make the decision now? Get rid of him after this game. You know what I mean? Like, we've got nothing to lose now, have we?
I mean, we missed your prediction. Were you confident going into this game?
No, I said the repeat of the game when they done us 3-0 at St James's. I think 3-0 for them. That's what I think. Hayden going up has actually helped.
Yeah, it's not good, mate. It's not good at all. It's not good at all. I mean, and just your views on Kraft as well. Kraft, obviously, I'm not sure you probably heard what I was saying there before, but
yeah. I've seen someone on Twitter going on about it as well. If that's true, then that's not good, is it? I mean, that's him and Sam Maxson. Clearly, they're not in the right frame of mind to be in a relegation battle, are they?
No,
it's just the whole thing. It's like 2016 again, isn't it? When we went down then. And not only this might sound a bit controversial, but it's got nothing to do with it. But if you remember. In 2016, the Euros was played that year. Can you remember what happened that same year? We got relegated, didn't we? It's going to happen again, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
It's just got everything's got bad omen written all over it.
It has, mate. It has. And what's happening in the golf?
We literally just turn it on. Do you sleep the golf? He's not even watching this.
Okay. Well, get us an update on the golf because I think we'll all probably want to know what's going on about that rather than the bloody football as the second half kicks off. Back to you then, Daz. Big shout out to everybody watching as well. Over 500 watching, which is it's always, as I say this time and time again. I never get sick of saying it, but don't take you for granted. Thank you very much for watching. Big shout out to all the people in the chat as well, putting their point across. Daz, is there any way we can change this? I mean, Steve Bruce, normally we've been playing, average first halves going in, and then we've been diabolical in the second half. Could we see some changes here? Is he going to be brave enough?
Yeah, I wouldn't be going with the defeatist attitude yet. That we're out of this and we're totally fucked. But I'd go straight away in with two subs now, not wait to 65th minute or whatever. Go with. We only have the two subs left. Bring on Murphy and one of either Gale or Carroll. And as I think as Martin said, lump the ball up. It's hit and hope here. We might as well lose 3-0. I don't think we're going to stay up on goal difference if it comes down to that anyway. So I'd go for broke here and try and get something from it. Instead of waiting. The last time I spoke to you, Steve, I was saying hopefully we can get to half time. We've now lost Hayden, one of our most influential players there in the centre, our only influential player in the centre, I should say, and we're 1-0 behind. So fuck it, just go for it. Go for this stage. What have we got to lose? We've lost enough this season.
Bob Curry, hope you're well, mate. I would go and watch the rugby, mate, is my honest opinion. You're asking what you should do now. It is awful, mate, Bob. Nice to hear from you. Rich, over to you. Can we change this? Can we get something out of this game? Is it going to be a chance to get an equaliser and possibly push on and win? Are you going to be a bit more optimistic?
I think if we had a manager that was not Steve Bruce, I think I would probably have a bit more hope that we could get back into this game. However, seriously, I feel like the light's just been sucked right out of us. That's probably been a killer 2 minutes at the end of the first half, losing Hayden and then conceding straight away. We've had to obviously use a substitution and brought Hendrick on. so many times we've said about we've always got a strong bench, but the problem is we can only use 3 of that bench at any time in the season. And now we're behind. The logical choice would be to obviously take Joe Linton off and put Carroll on, and then bring Murphy off. The problem is with that is Shelby's got no legs in the middle. Hendrick's got no legs. So the legs that we do need are Miggy. But the problem is Miggy going to last because we don't want to run him into the ground for no reason now. You know, the gamble of playing him today is it's not going to pay off. So we're in that catch-22 situation where you're probably going to have to take Joe Linton and Miggy off to bring Murphy and Carroll on, and then you still, you know, Willock's been a passenger for this first full half. He's going to be the only legs in a 3-man midfield that we've got, which is absolutely appalling because Shelby doesn't look interested. We know what Hendrick's been like, and Willock's is going to be running around for the 3 of them in the middle. So it's the passage is going to, the players is going to pass them by throughout the second half. So. No, I'm not optimistic we're going to get back into it, unfortunately. I would love to say yes. I can't see him making any changes because we know what he's like. He's very stubborn. He'll only make them at certain times, either if it's an injury or 65th minute. The only way we can get into this is if we do make a change at half-time, but I just cannot say it, unfortunately. And I hate saying that, but hopefully the only thing that might come of this, if we do lose days, the hierarchy might finally act, and then we've got an international break where we can make changes and hopefully put our season on the chopping table and tell every single person who's got a black and white shirt they're getting paid thousands a week. They've got to start delivering and to keep this club where it needs to be.
Yeah. Okay. Come to you now, Holly. Well, we've got a few people gone on gardening leave, I think, which is what Steve Bruce should do. So we'll come to you next, just as we get ready for the second half. What's your take on the second half? Can we get something out of it?
I don't think so. As soon as they scored, I think that was game over, really. Like, there's no chance we're going to score now. And I'm not a person that really gets angry, but I'm honestly just so annoyed with the players and Steve Bruce now. It's just the fact that I don't know how Steve Bruce just dares even come out, because if I was him, I wouldn't even dare show my face. Like, the arrogance and the sheer just lack of any dignity from the man is unreal. Like, literally, he brings on Jeff Hendrick. He does all this daft stuff. I mean, he came out in his press conference and he was like, "Oh, I want what's best for the club, but I'm not going to resign." So you don't want what's best for the club then, do you? Because what's best for the club is you to be as far away from Newcastle as possible. So go. Like, I just don't understand the guy's logic at all. He's deluded. He's crazy. He knows nothing about football, and he needs to just stop. Like, he needs to stop messing on and leave. And the players now, some of them, fair enough, they're trying, likes of Almiron and other players that work hard, but most of them, for me, I don't know how the Premier League players, because they look like just random. I mean, honestly, you could get any random lads off the street and they could probably do that or better. Like, it's just embarrassing. I don't know why they're getting a game. I'd be embarrassed if I was them, and I don't think they deserve to wear the black and white shirt whatsoever now. And they just don't try, they don't care, and they're rubbish. I don't know what's happened to them, because even last season, and a lot of the players were still here under Rafa Benitez, they look decent, and now they just look like not even the same players. They just literally look like League One, League Two players. I don't see how we can get back from this now, and I just think it's the mentality. Even the skill looks poor, and I don't know what we can do. To be honest, we just look totally and utterly fucked.
Got lots of fans on from other clubs tonight, which is always nice. No other games, so people choosing to listen to us and probably appreciate our honesty and realise that Newcastle fans aren't deluded and expecting to win the Premier League, but in fact just normal fans who just want to have a little bit of hope. And of course, we've been devoid of that for the last 13 years under this bloody owner, and now we've got a manager to match the hopelessness of the owner. Life Goals just quoting what Graham Souness has said on TV. Steve Bruce is an expert in failure. His results have been dismal and the football is unwatchable. Nice man, but the game has moved on. Finally, Graham Souness getting it right, Martin.
Yeah, I've seen there's a few tweets dropping through. I think Mark Douglas just made a really good point on Twitter. He said, this next 45 minutes defines Newcastle's season. These players are either going to stand up and are going to do something, or they're going to back down and they're going to just go out with a whimper. I mean, I'm just looking at the fixtures there, like the next 7: Spurs, Burnley, West Ham, Liverpool, Arsenal, Leicester City. We're not getting nothing out of them. Nothing in the next 7, I don't think. looking at this team that's out there now that can't pull in a Brighton team that has only won once at home all season, who again, like Villa, were there for the taking, and we're completely devoid of ideas, creativity, pace, or anything else that's seemingly having any kind of attack and threat on Brighton to give them anything to worry about, then I don't think we're going to have anything that's going to worry Spurs, Burnley, West Ham, Liverpool, Arsenal, Leicester and City. You're then looking at 2 games of the season left, Sheffield United and Fulham. And I think even at that point, if it goes to last game, I think Fulham beat us. So I don't know. It's desperate times, but I think we are literally just nosediving towards the championship at the minute. I can't really see a way out. Here's Murphy coming, certainly warming up anyway.
Andy Carroll just looks absolutely sick of his life, doesn't he? And I mean, regular watchers of the show will know that I'm not an Andy Carroll fan, but that's how bad it is for me. Andy Carroll should be starting. Murphy should be starting.
Does anyone think that Andy Carroll could be the person that's leaked all the stuff to that Craig Hope and all that?
I think there's a few of them.
I do.
Kieran, I think there's a few.
You can't blame him, can you?
There's a few of these people. There's the long staffs as what people are always going to look at. I would say it's probably going to be Dwight Gale, who's got a major issue with Bruce. But Andy Carroll won't be happy either. And all of these people have friends in the press. So I would imagine that, there isn't just one mole. There's probably a family of moles, shall we say.
Yeah. So, 2 long staff brothers as well.
Yeah, it's not good. It's awful, and that's why these stories are getting out, like the Kraft one, like the ASM one, it's why I think Bruce has lost the dressing room. Lots of people, Chris Hall, talking about, is there a clause in the contract? If Newcastle hit the bottom 3. Oh!
Did he hit the post?
Hit the post.
Yeah.
Ryan Fraser's just hit the post. He's hitting his head, which doesn't. Got to tell Ryan Fraser that when you hit your head, it just causes you pain. It doesn't actually change doesn't change anything. But yeah, he's curled the ball round the keeper. Keeper was beating all ends up, hit the post, and Newcastle with a golden opportunity to get back into the game there, shaking his head, absolutely devastated that he missed that, as we all are. But yeah, I mean, if we do dip into the bottom 3, Chris, is there going to be that opportunity, do you think, where Mike's going to pull the trigger? If we get beat tonight, do you think Ashley has that international break, as Kieran was talking about, to make the decision that everybody's hoping he's going to make?
God, no.
There's a possibility of it, and you've got to hope that you would maybe the management are thinking now would be the perfect time to cut ties with Bruce, in terms of giving the new incoming manager, aka Graham Jones, more time with the players. And I think, make no mistake about it, I think it will be Jones. I think Jones will take over in a caretaker capacity. Another nice cheap option. Just to show how bored I am, by the way, Steve, I looked up what the word is for a collective group of moles, and it's a labour of moles.
That's a quick question.
We've got a labour.
Like style of play.
Yeah. I could always use that in loaded quiz, couldn't I? But yeah, a labour of moles.
Question, yeah.
So I think that's what we've got in the camp. Just to touch on the chance for Fraser, it was a cracking effort, and he was unlucky with that. And let's hope that sparks a bit of life into the team. Nice to see Jacob Murphy warming up. Although I do find it odd that 2 minutes after kickoff, we potentially make a change. And maybe Bruce was expecting Brighton to change the shape or check that they were going to be playing the same formation, which I would have been staggered if they did, because they've just dominated that first half. So I don't see where the surprise. 2-0.
For fuck's sake. Good night.
Replica of the first.
Yeah, and John Joe Shelby standing with his hands out like this. I mean, one of my pet hates of anybody who's supposed to be an experienced pro is standing there with your hands out, blaming everybody else, when in fact you're one of the major problems in that team. Another ball played up. Brighton managed to win the ball, hold it up. It was pushed out wide, and just a lovely ball into the back of the net. Stroke past Dubravka from about 20 yards, and It was Welbeck who took a touch, took it past Manquillo and curled it into the bottom right-hand corner, past Dubravka, who was beaten again. All ends up. Brighton 2, Newcastle 0. Good night, Vienna.
Like, at that point when he's cutting inside, if you're Manquillo or somebody else, like, why are you just not fucking clattering him? Take a yellow, like, at least do something. Stop him.
Shelby sees him cutting in. He puts his hands behind his back, to obviously not give away a handball. Turns his body, and then sticks his arms in the air as if to say, "Why has nobody else picked that up?" But he's the nearest person to block the shot off because he's got past Manquillo. So why is he? Who's he possibly blaming for that?
Where's the leader on that pitch now? 2-0 down. Where's the captain? Where's the leadership? Where's somebody with fight and passion and bite going at these guys now going, what the hell is going on here, lads? What's going on? No leader. Nobody with a spark up their arse doing a thing. Squad is not good enough. And players don't care.
What I don't understand is why is Manquillo showing him in onto his right foot? You always told the fullback, show them to his weaker foot.
Put him down the line.
Coming on, he didn't have his better foot, have it all day long.
Play him outside, Richie. Play him down the line.
Yeah, exactly. He shows him inside.
I mean, take nothing away from the finish. It was a great finish, to be fair. He hasn't half hit it well, but the players, like you say, Manquillo should have showed him on his left, and the defenders have just kind of stood there. I can't blame Dubravka for that. But
that finish, though, Chris, that finish is the difference between a team going at it because Fraser's hits the post and Welbeck puts his in. Two very similar balls, cutting inside, hitting the shot. One hits the post, one goes the other way. These are the things that happen when you are absolutely down and out and your luck is shot.
Yeah.
Does anyone actually think he's going to get the sack as well, though?
I don't think Ashley sacks him. I don't think Ashley gets rid of him.
I think Mike Ashley will make the decision. I think he'll go after tonight's game.
No,
if there's a couple more goals, Steve, if we lose this game 2-1, he might hang on in there. But if we end up losing 4-5,
what's made me think that's going to happen tonight, lads, is just watching what's happening on the sidelines, and I think there's too many cooks down there. Graham Jones is really, really, really playing a bigger part again tonight. The substitutions he's getting in Bruce's way, it's a mess, and that is deliberate. And I think we're all saying the same thing. Graham Jones has been brought in to manage this team, and I think he's going to get the opportunity for the rest of the season.
That's not good. That's not good enough, though. That's not good.
I listened to sorry, Kieran. I listened to George Culkin. Steve last night had a Twitter. I think it's a new function on Twitter called Space or MySpace or something on Twitter. I stumbled across it last night while I was messing around, and I listened into it. There was like 150 people listening in, a couple of speakers. One Charlotte was on, and he made a good point, which was Newcastle would not appoint another manager. They made their move when they brought in Graham Jones. So if Bruce does go, Jones will step in. There's not another manager coming in. There's not a Eddie Howe or Rafa coming back or any of this other stuff with 9 games to go. They made their move earlier in the year, which was bringing Graham Jones in. That's their managerial change.
Did you think it was significant that, like Bruce's press conference, I was really surprised, actually, and I know we spoke about it briefly on the WhatsApp group, but I was really surprised that Bruce said, "I've not been good enough." That's the first time that he's actually took a little bit of responsibility and said, "I've not been good enough." He didn't say, "We've not been good enough." He said, "I've not been good enough." Yeah. And I'm wondering, as he kind of had his last orders, and they've said, "Listen, you don't get anything from this game, you're done."
I thought that as well, because apparently there was someone close to Ashley at the club on, I think it was Wednesday, and a lot of people on Twitter seem to think that perhaps he's had a word with them, saying this could be a last warning. I'm not sure, but I just can't see him going up. And if Graham Jones is going to be the one that takes over, that's not very. It's a dangerous move because he's not really had the experience in the Premier League.
I hope this isn't Graham Jones's team. I mean, this is Graham Jones's formation. Yeah, but I hope this isn't Graham Jones's team, because if it is,
I think
expect more of the same.
What my concern is when he came in when he had Miggy Wilson and ASM, and obviously then Willock behind it. This formation was perfect for those personnel. My concern is if Jones is the person that's going to take us forward, how he hasn't adapted the tactics to the personnel again.
Exactly.
That's the main issue we've got here.
Is that Bruce or is it Jones?
We don't know.
We don't know.
That's what we don't know.
And apparently, as well, he's responsible for the split strikers, Graham Jones.
Yeah, he is.
If that's true, then what chance have you got? They're playing Gale on the wing and Fraser up front.
That's where we think that Bruce is doing the personnel, and he's picking the personnel in the wrong positions. That's the problem.
Possibly, yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's just crap, isn't it?
2-0 down against Brighton and 57 minutes on the clock. Daz, it's just dismal, isn't it?
Yep, it is, Steve. I started with the rally cry, and I'm going to say it for the first time. I'm going to admit it, and Martin, I'm aligning with you now. We're getting relegated, but there's one small hope, and that Ashley makes the decision tonight and gets rid of Bruce. And I still think it's even too late, because we need to be getting something now out of the big games that we've in our heads wrote off already. And a new manager kick usually brings that on for clubs, but if it's Jones, are we going to get that kick? It'd be interesting to see. It'd be interesting to see what kind of reaction he could get out of this team. You know, it's our only hope now of staying up. Everything else is out the window. We're getting relegated. If he doesn't make the change tonight or tomorrow to get rid of Bruce, we're relegated. Simple as that. And this is me. If you remember the first show I was ever on and the match realize, I was extremely positive. We're relegated now. As things stands, we're relegated.
Why do we have to go 2-0 down to start playing? Why are we all of a sudden now playing?
It happens every time.
It's not good enough. It's not good enough. This is what we need when it's 0-0.
Yeah, Rich, what's your take on the situation as we come up to the hour mark?
It's an absolute diabolical situation. Just comes to everything. I actually predicted when we did our predictions on Loaded, I actually said Newcastle would go down. And I still agree they will. If it stays like this, we are down. The only slither of hope that I've actually got is that, like as you said, Steve Bruce is gone, and Mike actually has to pull the trigger. But the problem is, like pretty much every Newcastle fan has said, he should have went 3 months ago after the Brentford game, or the very, very latest when we lost to Sheffield United. If we'd made the changes then, we could have salvaged the season. Now it's going to be very, very touch and go, especially with 7 of the fixtures that we've got against the top 10. It's going to be very, very difficult for whoever takes over the team, whether it's Jones or whoever comes in, to put their stamp on that team against 7 of the teams that we're going to be playing against.
Who do you reckon's coming on for Murphy? Coming off for Murphy, sorry.
Fraser.
Dubravka.
It should be Joe. It won't be.
It
will be, but it should be Joe.
I bet you it's not.
It'll
probably be Fraser.
It will be Fraser.
We should leave Fraser on. We'll need the wingers to provide for when Carroll comes on or whoever comes on.
Let's get to Chris here while we've got him. He's doing a lot of walking around and mixing drinks and making his tea and God knows what.
He's looking for his TARDIS, isn't he?
I don't know what he's got. I don't
No,
know.
I had a delivery, and they made me go down in the elevator because the delivery guy had a bicycle that he couldn't lock up outside.
That's what happens when you live in a dodgy area.
I know. Well, I don't live in Steve's favorite borough of Tower Hamlets anymore. Now I'm in what is it? What's the right term?
Willock coming off.
Velocity.
I live in Hackney now with all the tosser.
He's took the only midfielder with legs off.
So what about the match, Chris? Have you managed to see any of it?
Yeah, I mean, I sort of for the first time all season, I kind of wanted to shut off after the 2-0 we went down. We haven't shown any fights. I mean, like I said, I said before the first goal, we weren't playing with any sense that this is a pivotal game for us. We all felt the urgency. The players couldn't felt closeted by Bruce or something, and it's just I've never seen the club sort of in more shambles than they are right now. It's the worst it's been since McLaren, probably worse.
I think it's the worst ever.
Yeah. I'm saying like the worst that I've been since I've been in the UK since 2015. So
I think we're all in agreement. We've got the worst manager.
Yeah, like I said, we've all said there's not one other club in the Premier League, including West Brom or whatever, that would take Steve Bruce as a manager. We're the only suckers. We're suckers. It's just like I don't know what it is. It's Ashley thinks that he can do it like he does his other businesses, where he puts the minimum in and gets like a maximum out. But that's just not how it works in the Premier League. It's garbage in, garbage out. Rubbish in, rubbish out.
I don't think he wants to make the decision to sack him. I don't think he wants to pay the compensation.
No, he's not going to sack him. He's going to go down with the ship. It's not.
He'll be here next year. He'll be here next year.
Not going to happen tonight. It didn't happen after Brentford. It didn't happen after Sheffield United. It's not happening tonight. Steve Bruce is not being sacked. And he said he'll never leave. If he had pride in the club, pride in the city, he would say, "I'm not." He said, "What I'm not." He said half the thing. What I've done is not good enough. But then he said, "I'll never leave."
He's a fraud.
I'm not good enough. I'm out. And he's just waiting to get his $3 million payout so he can have unlimited kebab. Come on. Have some pride in yourself. Have some pride in the city. You're taking the whole city down with you. You're probably taking down a $300 million pound takeover because they're just clueless. I'm just sick of this.
It's going to spoil everything, really. Spoil everything for us.
Yeah, Pete, we missed you last time, mate, because you'd gnashed off for a break. It was a bit conspicuous. You went off with Chris A. I hope he's sharing some of his food with you. But Pete, what's your take on this dismal performance?
Yeah, I just started to get my dinner in because that was much more enjoyable than that last one.
What did you have, mate?
Chinese stir fry.
Very nice.
From the butchers. Yeah, lovely. Like I say, much more enjoyable than that 45 minutes. But look, I've listened to all of what's been said, and it goes no further than the manager. The manager has been tactically outplayed tonight, and that's it. It's as simple as that. You look at the way in which we played from minute one. I did not expect anything else than what we've seen right now after the first minute of the game, and that's why really for the majority of tonight's show I've stayed quiet because I knew what was coming. I knew exactly what was coming. Look, we've supported this club long enough. Even one or two others that are slightly older than me have supported this club a lot longer. I supported this club nearly 30 years. Right, I've watched this club week in, week out. I've gone through this club and these players like a fine-tooth pick for nearly 30 years. I know when these players are not going to turn up. I'm sorry, and I knew it after the first minute. They were never going to turn up in this game. They've been pulled from pillar to post all over the place for this 65 minutes, and it will continue through to 90. This game's done, and it was done after 5 minutes. Tactically, everybody knows when you come up against Brighton, although they are a shit side and they are shit, we've made them look very good tonight, that with their formation and with the manager that plays a certain style of football, that you have to adapt to your style to play slightly different in this game. Or you have tactically aware players that are able to cover one or two positions when we're in transition with the ball and without the ball. We haven't done that. The one fundamental mistake tonight is playing Shelby is the deep line of the three centre midfielders because he hasn't got the positional play to be able to pick the ball off and win the ball deep. Hayden does that. Why do you think we tried to get Hamza Chowdhury so much? Why do you not think we tried so hard to get him? Because we needed another defensive midfielder that can play that system and can do that job. Okay, not getting him was a massive downer, and now we haven't got a defensive line midfielder, someone that can nick the ball deep and do the job for the rest of the season. So we're fucking screwed right now. Okay, because Shelvey in that position is just a nothing player. You play him further forward where he can actually get into the attacks and link the play. He plays slightly better, but he does nothing in this position because positioning wise, he hasn't got a fucking clue what he's doing. He has not got a clue whatsoever. They've been putting our centre backs all over the place. For that first goal, it was horrific defending from Kieran Clark. You send him down the line. He's allowed him to turn inside. I'm sorry, right? That championship defending, right? He's championship level, and he's proved that tonight. He's been awful, absolutely awful. He's been pulled from pillar to post all over the place, and he's then affected the other defenders in this team. Dubravka maybe could have done better for the first goal.
3-0.
I don't even care.
It doesn't even matter.
I've no
Exactly. It doesn't fucking matter, Chris. You're right.
3-2.
Because
It's a good job Lampard was out.
guys, this is what's coming.
Yeah.
Been
Yeah,
coming
I'll
from
say
minute
3-0
one.
anyway.
They are all over the place, right? Even when Ryan Fraser hit the post, I reacted not at all because it was never going in, right? It was never going in. We've got no chance in this game of getting anything, and it all lies with the manager because the manager has been tactically outclassed from minute one, and it was exactly the same in the return game at St James's Park. We were tactically outclassed in that game. There is no difference today, right? And look, I'm looking around at these players. I'm looking at I'm looking at Shelvey. I'm looking at Hendrick. I'm looking at Paul Dummett. I'm looking at these players. These players are championship players. I'm sorry, right? They'll put a shift in. They'll try hard. They'll give 100%. But in terms of quality, they are not good enough to play at Premier League level. They'll be the guys that will stay next season if we go down, and they'll be the ones that will try and get us up. And this is what I've said it so many times. Like under this ownership, we have not transitioned this squad like we should have. Some of these players, like your Dummets, like your Clarks, should have been moved on a long time ago, like your Shelbys. When you're in an elite league in the Premier League, you have to turn over your squad and get rid of players that may be playing well, but you try and get a return on them to get better players in. That's what should have happened over the last 4 or 5 years. And I believe Rafa Benitez was starting that before he left. I think Shelby would have been out the door. I think Dummett would have been out the door because neither of them were not playing regularly enough. They would have all been out the door. Clark would have been out the door because he wasn't a regular. But because he's left, we've been stuck with these players, and this is what we're getting right now. Okay? We haven't got a manager that can tactically make them play. We haven't. Steve Bruce has to leave, right, in order for us to have any chance of staying in this league. Because this was our one chance, right? And we've blown it, and we've blown it out the water, right? And if we continue with him until the end of the season, we better prepare for the championship. Because for me, and I was the hopeful one, I thought we still had a chance. Seeing how they've come out in a pressure game tonight and performed, it's been an absolute joke. And it lies with the manager, and some of these players and the players that I've mentioned need to take some flack because they've been fucking shocking.
Can I just say, Pete, I've just watched the goal back, as I tend to do with these goals, because I always want to see who's culpable, who's at fault. I don't know if any of you have done this, but literally, Pascal Gross picks the ball up on the right. He gets it from the centre. He turns Dummett inside out, just with a simple Cruyff turn. Puts the ball in the box. Jamal Lascelles tries to play the offside line, and he's not shouting to anybody. He just ducks forwards, then comes back, gets in the right position. He's you know, you could maybe argue he could be, you know, maybe a yard closer to Morpay. And he just sticks a leg out. Morpay has a free shot to swing, and he just sticks a leg out. It's just so frustrating.
Chris, who did Clark have? Clark was about 2 yards in front of Morpay, and Lascelles had Welbeck behind him. There was nobody marking either of the two strikers.
No, I completely agree with you. But again, it's down to a lack of communication. And I may be wrong saying this, Rich, but if that's your captain, he's got to be screaming. He's got to be saying, Clark or Hayden, whatever, come back. You've left your man. Or if he's having to cover him, there's just no communication. They're just not talking to each other. And it's so easy for Brighton. So easy. And then Lascelles actually has a little shout at Clark. And you think, well, it's too late. It's done now.
Problem is our best centre half's on the subs bench.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Lack of confidence. It's a pedestrian central kind of play.
The only blessing here, Holly, is that obviously Fulham didn't win last night, so this doesn't take us into the relegation zone.
Yeah, but surely we'll be going into the relegation zone sooner rather than later. Like, I don't know how other people feel, but this has got to be it now. Like, there's no way we're coming back from this. Can anyone seriously see us picking up enough points to stay up like in the next few games? I don't think so. Not with this side. What baffles me is that Steve Bruce got us to 13th last season with a squad that was worse because we were literally relying on Joe Linton as our main striker. Like, we didn't have Callum Wilson. And he got us to 13th, and then now we're in this mess. Like, how has he managed to do that then? But this club, I've got no words for it anymore. Like, we're just allowing this to happen. It's an utter shambles, and no one cares. No one's doing anything. We're just watching it happen. I know people say that we're sleepwalking into relegation. It feels like we're running into relegation now. Honestly, it does. And just... I'm just sick of it, honestly sick of it. Like, I used to look forward to watching the match and stuff, even though being crap, but I just feel like there's no point in watching this anymore. Like, of course I will, because it's the same thing every match day. Like, you think, oh, maybe this day will be different, but it never is. You never ever get surprised by this club, and there's just nothing positive anymore. Like, we'll go into the championship, and then, well, like I said before, I just dread to think what will happen then, because we're in an absolute mess. But I couldn't even name more than 5. I'd even struggle to name 5 players that I genuinely think are good enough. Like, and the fact that they're playing this game, I wouldn't even want to show my face. Like, no way, they just don't care.
Brighton again, looking likely to get another goal. You've switched it off, Martin.
I did, yeah. I've turned off. I'm not watching no more. So 3-0 down. I'll listen to you. I'll listen to you lot and contribute where we can. But I think for me, 3-0 down to a team that has only won once all season. When we get a favour off Leeds last night. I mean, one of the comments there, like, Scott Parker and Fulham players must be watching this at home, must be laughing their fucking heads off, going, "Well done, Newcastle. Thanks for imploding." Because they will catch us and overtake us without a shadow of a doubt. Even though we've still a game in hand. Like, I definitely cannot see us getting anything in the next 7. If we do, it's an absolute fluke. But I can't see nothing. I know Fulham have got a bad run in as well with the 8 that they've got left. But you could see them picking something up at Villa or Wolves. You could see them getting a couple of points. I don't see where we get the points from. And I think as a fan, when you're watching that, we come on here and we've all tried. We try to be positive. Daz and Pete, in fairness, are probably more positive than me. I called it a few weeks back and I said I thought we were done. I thought we were going to go down, and I couldn't see any other way out. And I kind of, myself and Daz will tell you, me and him were chatting online there the other day, and I said, I've actually kind of resigned myself to going down. And if we do you know what? I'll have a candy season in the championship. Fuck it. Like, we might win a few. But, like, what's the point of turning out to watch this dross every single week, man? It's like an all-time low. It's like, do you know what? I'll tell you one thing, lads. Mind, Body and Soul, the lads who sponsor us Unloaded. I've got their number because I tell you there'll be a few mags in black and white who might be wanting to ring that line tonight, because that on the pitch is absolutely woeful. I'm 51 and I would give my heart and soul to put on a black and white shirt and run around on that pitch and make the money they're making. And there's loads and hundreds of thousands of kids in the Northeast who would die to get on and run around at St. James's Park like they're heroes. Do you know what? There's not one out there in that 11 that's a hero to me or anybody else in black and white.
Martin, I do it for free. It's not even about...
Absolutely. So would I. They're a disgrace to the shirt. And I'm sorry. It starts... I know people we're talking Bruce and everything else, but you know what? This rot has been coming for 13 years. Squad's not good enough. Starts with the owner, down to Charnley. As Steve said, he was T-boy when you were there. And then we've got... and obviously brought in the worst manager that certainly in my time, and I've seen Kinnear and others, McLaren and Pardew, and everybody else that's gone through it, from Keegan to Bobby Robson. And Steve Bruce is by far the worst manager I have ever seen at this club by a long shot. And that's why I've turned off tonight. I'll happily sit and chat with you lads and Holly, because, you know, I enjoy the crack, but I'm not watching that shit no more. I'm done.
Sean Longstaff's on, 75th minute. Miggy Almiron managed to make 75 minutes, which is great news, I suppose, for the forthcoming games. Hasn't had a reaction, got through it okay. Sean Longstaff's come on. Game's over. Newcastle 3-0 down, Chris. We're going to put the rant on, which we normally do on a Monday night, tomorrow, guys and girls. So your podcast needs you. The 5-minute rant will be 6 o'clock tomorrow. Join me and Chris and Pete. And you come on and you have your say. I'm sure a lot of you out there will have plenty to say.
You might want more than an hour tomorrow night, Steve.
Stick the link straight up. But yeah, we'll be on at 6 o'clock tomorrow night. But yeah, Chris, you know, again, not many positives come from this game. But yeah, Sean Longstaff certainly back on the pitch anyway, which I've got to be honest, none of us were expecting to see.
I don't know if you follow the Fire's list of top 10 worst colleges for free speech, but St. John's was on there.
Chris, is that you watching some kind of TV program or something? Got some kind of...
Sorry, hold on.
Also, if you can talk
Chris, I'm going to switch you off and bring Chris Hall in, because we've got some kind of political broadcast going on, which will probably get us struck off. And yeah, go on, Chris. On to you, mate. Chris Hall, not Chris who's listening to some other show.
Yeah, not many positives, Steve. The one positive I'm going to take from this game is Miggy Almiron has he's made his way off the pitch and he's safe and sound, which for me that's the only positive from this match. I'm surprised to see Sean Longstaff come on. Hopefully that's a sign of things to come. Maybe him and Bruce have made friends. I don't know, but do you know what? I'm going to say this. I said this before in the chat, but it's really annoying me. This has been the most annoying part of this whole game for me. I don't know if anyone else has picked up on it, but our press is shocking. It's absolutely, it's actually embarrassing. Every time Brighton play the ball back, it was Miggy, we push forwards, and you can tell that we don't press properly, because all Brighton do is just ping the ball round us and then carry on going forwards. And then they have to hit the likes of Shelby, who's further back. And it's just the easy. This will be the easiest game Brighton have had, you could argue, all season.
Since they played us last time.
It's just been so easy. It's been a walk in the park for them. I doubt many of them will have broke sweat.
Listen to this. I'm watching. I have the game up on SofaScore, right? 36% possession, a total of 3 shots for the entire game, 0 shots on target.
Here we go.
2 shots off, 1 corner kick, 4 fouls, no big chances, no chances missed. Hit the word work once. 308 passes compared to 600 from Brighton. 72% passing, of which 50% have been long balls. We've lost possession 104 times and have only won 10 duels, either aerial, and made 7 tackles for an entire game.
7 tackles.
7 tackles for an entire game.
I'm surprised we made that many.
We don't need Andre here to tell us this is a total disaster. This match is just... It's just so frustrating. I can hardly find the words. I'm usually not somebody that lacks words, but this match is just it's just like sucked the life out of me. You know, the club does that to us over 30, 40, however many years we've followed the club. But this, I feel like we're seeing everything that's wrong with the club represented in this match. And it's just soul crushing. The fact that we care so much about this club, and they don't seem to care a whit about their future, the club's future, the city's future.
We're just garbage, Chris. And you know what? You've got to think. I know there'll be people out there who say McLaren's worse. One thing about McLaren, and people have said this about him in the past, he's a good coach. He's not a manager, but he's a good coach.
Yeah.
Steve Bruce can't do either. He can't coach and he can't manage.
Apparently, his management wasn't really good. It's not.
Yeah. Well, he's great with the lads. As in having a little. Well, yeah, you could even say that, Kevin, because he's fell out with half the squad.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
his man management can't be that great.
What chance have we got? He's shambles.
Lowest win percentage in the Premier League, and you've still got pundits defending him. Still.
Oh, God, that Paul Merson.
What do Newcastle fans want? What do Newcastle fans want? And then some of them say, some of them say, oh, the squad's not good enough. What are loads of rubbish? I'm not saying our squad are world beaters, but they're better than what this is showing.
Yeah, a decent manager would get this team probably in around 10th, 11th, 12th positions, I think.
A decent manager would, yeah.
Yeah, a decent manager. We've got the worst manager in the history of the club, as far as I'm concerned. Idiot.
Save.
It's all right though, lads, because Jeff Stelling now understands. He understands our frustration. So that's 6 minutes ago. Jeff Stelling has now come out and said, "I understand now."
He's meant to be from Hartlepool as well.
Everybody, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Jeff Stelling understands. He now knows what we knew.
Man, the match contender there.
Thank you, Jeff Stelling.
Good to see Chris has just deserted us and message in the chat. I've got a raging headache, lads. Going to tap out. Well, this is what happens when you start drinking brown ale, Chris. And then getting the munchies live on air. Yeah, Martin, but you're seasoned. You're a seasoned.
Thanks.
You're a pro, son. You're a pro.
Thanks, mate. That's probably about the best highlight of tonight.
I do not want to call Chris
pressure.
A lightweight. However, his other experience with drink on this programme involved him falling over. I don't know whether it's because I called him Steve Strange on the last podcast, but now he's gone the opposite way. Now he's gone for like an Oz type look tonight. He's trying to be like Oz.
He's gone full on Merson.
Sitting in his white underpants, scratching his balls, drinking brown ale, and now he's had to go off with a headache. So
there's a thought we're not getting rid of too early.
Best of luck to Chris. Kieran, we've got 7 minutes to go, mate, and it's just been abysmal, hasn't it? I mean, it's been one of those shows where normally I like to control it and we talk about different things, but it's just been a moan fest tonight, and rightly so. Yeah. It's been awful.
Yeah, we're just in a sort of situation now where we have to accept it, haven't we? I mean, I'm really worried for our future. I think we'll go down, but it's just a case of what will happen next season.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Who's the manager going to be? Is the owner still going to be here? Which he probably will be. I mean, even if he somehow manages to stay up, which I don't think he will, he's going to have to make a decision. Because once those fans if the fans go back in, it's going to be toxic, isn't it?
Oh, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah. The biggest complaint in the chat is that Martin is drinking brown ale out of a can.
I'm not. I'm drinking out of a glass, Dave. I'm pouring it.
Is it a schooner? Is it a schooner?
It is. From Central Ale, it was actually a gift that was sent to me by the guy that owns Central Ale at Central Station. It's a Tyne Ale number 9 glass.
Very good.
Just about there. So yeah, it's not. It's out of a can. It's going in a glass, man.
Yeah, see, there you are. You were too quick to judge Martin. He's a professional. I did tell you that. I did tell you.
Exactly. I'm a professional alcoholic, lads. Leave it to me.
The traffic, Martin.
God, Daz, honestly, I mean, this is just bloody woeful, isn't it? And the international break kind of come quick enough. And normally, we're all going, oh, God, I can't stand the international break. We all need a break from this, don't we, really?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And it's not how long of a break we're going to get here because, as I said earlier on, I think the season's over and we're relegated unless they pull the trigger now on Bruce and change it and just something to mix it up and give us some kind of hope. But and as I said as well, that I think it's already kind of too late for that because there's a lot of miracles that need to happen in those coming games to try and get something out of it. But will he pull the trigger? Maybe at the end of this we'll go around or something and ask the question: do people think that Bruce will go tonight, as in he'll get sacked, or I can't see him walking away? But does everyone think we're gone now? What's their opinion? Are we going down, or do you still have some hope, or is it game over?
Exactly, Colin. I'm still in touch with Keith. Haven't heard from him for a while. I was speaking to Liam about it on Tuesday. The last time we had him on the show, he said March would be an important month. I haven't spoken to him, to be honest. I haven't even wanted to cover the takeover because, as far as I'm concerned, it's in the hands of arbitration, and we've seen it in the media that arbitration shouldn't be too long now, because obviously they've decided on the people who are going to sit over arbitration. So, does Keith know any more than I do? I'm not sure, but I'll certainly put a text into him, ask him if he's up for coming on the show, and we'll see what his reaction is. But I've got to be honest, after everything that I've seen on social media and Twitter and the like, and the stuff that's been going backwards and forwards between him and others, I've watched him over the last couple of weeks. He seems to have quietened down a bit on the old social media front. I'm not sure he needs the publicity. I'm not sure he needs it. We got him on. We publicised everything that he was doing. But I will certainly get in touch with him and we'll see what the situation is. But I often say silence is golden as far as the takeover is concerned, and hopefully things will be getting resolved one way or another fairly soon, and the club can move on in one way or another off the pitch if it's not moving in the right direction on the pitch. But
Steve, do you think there's been any corruption in the takeover? Because I do. I think a little bit of corruption.
Without landing, myself in a libel case, I would say that it's probably fair to say that there's been a few things happening, Kieran, which probably go against the grain. But those kind of things either get brushed under the carpet and the takeover goes through, or they come out in an open forum if the takeover doesn't go through. So, I think the one thing that we can say is fairly accurate with this takeover and fairly obvious and fairly frequent is there's both sides leak to the media on a regular basis. Stories have been coming out from both sides over the last 18 months. So it's fair to say that if the takeover does collapse, then I'm sure we'll hear both sides fairly quickly. That's my view on it. And has there been corruption at certain levels? Has there been a few people against this from the start? Yeah. I thought it was interesting what Jake Burns had to say today. I mean, he's a high-profile music artist. He's a Newcastle fan. Lives in America. I said to him, "Do you want this takeover to go through with the Saudis?" And he wasn't keen on it. Anybody but Mike Ashley. But he's not keen on the Saudis. And I hadn't even looked into what he was saying on social media about it, but it was interesting to hear his views. Not everyone is pro-Saudi. We've seen it. That's caused a lot of the crap. That's caused a lot of the crap on social media as well.
They can't be any worse than Mike Ashley. They can't be any worse. And I don't understand why these people were just against it.
It's become a political football, Kieran.
No,
that's
it's nonsense, I think.
It's become a political football, and because none of us are experts on Middle Eastern politics, apart from Chris here, who's now gone. He knows a lot more about it than we do. Mitch does. Steve Hasty knows a bit more about it on Friday nights on the Three Amigos. But I still haven't really embraced all of that. All I see is the football club taken over by somebody who can make a difference, Kieran.
It's just baffling how it's gotten to this position that with all of a sudden we're going through a legal action. This should never have happened. This should have been rubber stamped July or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I think it stinks of corruption. I think there has been something that stopped it from going through. But they did have the problem with who was going to actually be in control of the club, didn't they? They didn't know who it was going to be running it on a day-to-day business. But I thought that Yasser, is it Ramayan? I thought he was the one that was going to be sort of having a bit an influence.
I think the problem simply lay at the fact that the people who passed the owners and directors test were fine. The Rubens, Staveley, Mirdad, they had all passed it. The Saudi representative had passed it, but I think that the sticking point was always going to be the TV rights, the issue that between Qatar and Saudi, and essentially the Premier League wanted you know, a little bit more. They wanted essentially, you know, the Saudi state more or less to come forward and say that they would be running the football club, and that's not what was happening. As far as Amanda Staveley and PCP were concerned, it was a three-way partnership, obviously a break of percentages, but it wasn't the Saudi state who were buying it, and they wanted the Saudi state essentially to go through the owners and directors test. And that was never going to happen because, you know, as far as they're concerned, it's not the Saudi state that's running the football club. But, you know, there would certainly be an influence on PIF, I suppose. That's what the Premier League are saying. And we've gone round in circles. Arbitration should have happened quicker than this. Arbitration is now set. Premier League's probably hoping that Newcastle drops out of the Premier League, though, and it becomes the EFL's problem. And then the EFL have to go through the same process. And we then probably have to go through all the same owners and directors tests again, and it'll be whether the EFL is willing to accept the new owners, and it's whether Mike Ashley is willing to take a massive drop in price on selling the football club. That is going to be the $1 million question. Is Mike Ashley going to spend money on getting Newcastle back into the Premier League, or is Mike Ashley going to, you know, essentially wait and, you know, and try and do a cheaper deal? Does he just want out now, you know?
Yeah. You don't want the arbitration going on for months and months, do we?
It won't, because arbitration doesn't go on for months. Once it starts, it'll be very quick. It'll be a quick process.
We just need it done out of the way with, man.
I'm sick of the back teeth of it.
Oh, I'm sick of it. Honestly, the whole thing. It's just the cursed club, isn't it? Our club is just cursed. It would not happen with any other club. If this is one of the top 6, this would have gone through.
Yeah.
Full time.
Full time.
And relax.
We've all missed Ant and Deck for this. 3-0 defeat for Newcastle against Brighton in the proverbial 6-pointer of the season. Once again, Newcastle United failed to turn up in a game that they need to win. Daz, sum it up, please. And I don't even think I'm going to ask anybody for a man of the match tonight, because everybody was crap.
My summing up here is just where we are now, and it's pretty obvious. As in, like, is Bruce sacked? We have a slight hope we stay up. It's option 1. Option 2, Bruce remains, we're relegated. Option 3, Bruce is sacked and we're relegated as well. And then my big question with everything that goes on here, and what I've cared about all this season since the first moment I ever met you, Steve, is where does this leave the takeover? Because that's where the future is. None of this shit is. So that's where my head is at.
Yeah, okay. Rich?
Well, just the last 20 minutes, I think, with a few things I've decided are that if Bruce is our gaffer, going forward, I'm not watching us for the rest of the season. Secondly, I'm sat in the dining room and I've been looking at putting the decorating off for that long. However, I've actually noticed I'm going to have to do it quicker now, unfortunately. But what I will leave you with is Bruce out, I want my club back.
Okay, we're getting a few requests from people asking for a full-on Pete rant. I think we'll keep that for tomorrow, Pete.
Yeah.
But yeah, give us your assessment, mate.
Just utterly shit. Someone mentioned earlier about the Sheffield United game. I think Stu Penman on the chat, on our chat, mentioned it as well, about being sort of one of his lowest points in supporting the club. And it was for me. This is worse tonight, in my opinion, because this is where we needed some balls from our players to really step up and show them what we're about, and actually to show us that they still want to stay in this league. And it was a case for Steve Bruce to say, actually, I can get these players playing tonight. We got given a lifeline yesterday, and we have absolutely, utterly just fallen apart. And look, I had some confidence before I'd mentioned it. We won't stay in this league with Steve Bruce in charge. I don't care whether it's Graham Jones. I don't care whether it's another manager that takes over. If Steve Bruce leaves, we've got a hope. We've got a chance of staying in this league. If he stays in charge for the remainder of this season, and I said way back in October, if he stays in charge and sees out this season, we get relegated. And it's the same point That performance was the most embarrassing performance I've seen from a group of players, right, in a long, long time. Okay, no heart, no passion, no desire, a lack of work rate. They looked tired. They played last Friday. They looked shattered from the first minute. They weren't at the races at all. It was embarrassing to watch. And for long parts of the game, I wasn't even watching it because it was that bad. But look, we'll know in the next 48 hours whether Steve Bruce is sacked, because they'll want a manager in to see them through the next couple of weeks and get them ready for the Tottenham game. So if it doesn't happen within 48 hours, I don't think it does at all. And someone mentioned on social media that Mike Ashley's in.
He's in the Middle East. Lee Ryder's just confirmed that he's in the Middle East. That's not good, is it?
So honestly, whether he watched it or not, or whether he'll make a decision, who knows? But as well as that, it was mentioned, I think, from Lee Ryder as well, that apparently Andy Carroll and Dwight Gale were not happy at the final whistle and stormed straight down into the changing rooms. Now, I would agree with them. You know, we lost 3-0. We needed guys that could score goals, and 2 strikers were left on the bench. Says a lot.
Yep, it does. You can catch Pete tomorrow night on the 5-minute rant. Anybody who wants to join that, the link will go straight up tomorrow, and it'll be in the description box for the show. Holly, give us your assessment of tonight's game.
Just totally and utterly shit, really. That's kind of all that needs to be said on it. Just confirming relegation for me. Nothing positive to say about it whatsoever. And I think, like you said earlier, normally I can't be bothered with an international break. I'm just like, oh, for God's sake. But this time I'm happy because I need a break from watching Newcastle, because honestly, it's just depressing to watch. Like, it's awful to watch. And it's just the uncertainty of everything and where we go next season. I really don't know. The takeover, I must be honest, I'm totally sick of it. Like, I just feel like that's bringing even more negativity into it, because it's been going on for so long now, and it's just constantly, will it happen or will it not happen? And we're just waiting for this answer. And then if it doesn't happen, well, where do we go from there? We're trapped, really. And it's just, until we get this answer, I just feel like we're constantly in limbo, and it's certainly not helping. Just everything on all levels, on the pitch, off the pitch, is a complete mess.
P. Davison says, can you sing us a song, Holly?
I think I'll pass.
Maybe keep that for ladies' night, or when we do another one for children in need. Martin, final word from you on this dismal performance.
I think what I'll do is I'll just repeat what Mr. Stu Penman has just said on our group chat. He's been supporting Newcastle for over 40 years, and he thought that the Sheffield United loss was one of the biggest lows he's ever seen. And within 40 days, Steve Bruce and that team have now created yet another low, probably worse than that Sheffield United game. So I'll leave those words on behalf of my good friend, Mr. Penman. I think we're done. I think even if we make a change, somebody comes in, I think, we've got a 2-week break. Spurs at home next game. Is anybody going to look forward to that? Not me. Okay, we normally have a good record against Spurs. You never know. But I think, certainly goal difference wise, we're gonna take a dent in the next 7 games. But it's just, it's heartbreaking, and it's heartbreaking to watch. It's awful.
Can't take this as gospel. As always, got plenty connections and plenty of people who get in touch with us. One of the rumours circulating at the minute that the payment being agreed for Bruce, and it was agreed before this game tonight. If that's true, I find that ludicrous. But we'll wait and see. This source that I've got claims that it's only a matter of time now. So that result, certainly, if that was the case before the game, won't have altered anyone's opinions. I think it'd be interesting to see whether he does go. But I do feel Bruce will go. I do feel he'll go, Chris. Before we play our next game. I think we'll see Graham Jones, as expected, taking over first team affairs until the end of the season. Is that your feeling now, mate, after watching a 3-0 defeat?
I'd say so, yeah. I can't see Bruce staying in the role any longer after that. I think, like the other panelists have said, that's got to be up there with possibly the worst game of the season. I think Pete and Martin both said it's worse than Sheffield United, and I completely agree. There was just nothing there. The players aren't fighting for him. The team selection's wrong. The formation doesn't fit the team. And I suppose that's my biggest concern going forward, is that if it is Jones's tactics, which I believe it is, I would be worried if Jones continues to play the players that are on the pitch. I just hope that it's Bruce picking those players. And if he continues to play a 4-4-2 diamond with them split strikers, that worries me. Because until Callum Wilson's back, and possibly St. Maximin as well, going forward, I just don't think we've got the players to play that role. And I would be interested to see if Jones sticks by Joe Linton as strongly as Bruce has, because I'm not going to make this about Joe Linton. It's not about Joe Linton. It's about the whole team. The whole team's been poor this evening. But if we've still got Steve Bruce in charge for the Tottenham game, we're in big trouble. Nothing's going to change. If he's going to sack him, it's now. If Bruce is in charge for Tottenham, he's not going anywhere. We even if we drop into the bottom three, if there's 4, 5, 6 games left, it's too late. Now, some people would argue now it's too late. I still believe there's a little bit of hope. We've got 9 games remaining. The Tottenham game at home, I agree with Martin, is winnable. With that new manager bounce, hopefully, with the extra days that we've got now, we've got the international break. Thank God we haven't got a game next week, which will be a lovely break for us. I think if we have somebody else in place by then who can hopefully implement their ideas, their lineup, their formation, etc., then we have half a chance. All it takes, as we've seen, is a couple of wins. If we get a couple of wins and Fulham only pick up, say, a point, the gap increases, and the new manager bounce may bring that. Bruce definitely will not bring that. It will not happen. So now, and I've said this probably about 12 times this season, but now is the time to go. If he doesn't go, I think we all need to resign ourselves to the fact we're going to be in the Championship next season. Is that tonight, Steve?
Yeah, that's tonight.
Yeah, it's open now, yeah.
You've seen that, yeah.
War Flags back at St James's Park tonight. Dave Harrison, thanks for the heads up. Coward, you are not one of us. Leave now. Yeah, I think that says it all, doesn't it, Kieran?
Yeah. To be honest, do you still think Steve? Do you still think you'll be gone tonight? You said earlier on that he.
Yeah, I think this is it. I don't think Steve Bruce survives this. I think the international break is the key. I think that I think he was gone regardless of tonight's result. I think that Graham Jones was brought in to do a job, and that job is caretaker manager. And I think he'll come in as caretaker manager till the end of the season, with the job of trying to keep us up. And if he keeps us up, then the takeover hasn't gone through, and they're going to have a decision to make. If the takeover goes through, then he's easy to replace, isn't he? He's a lot easier than Steve Bruce to replace. If Newcastle go down and the takeover doesn't go through, you've got a ready-made coach there, depending on how the players feel, etc. I mean, that's where we're at. Eddie Howe, lots of rumours, people saying that he's on Tyneside now. I wouldn't read anything.
Eddie Howe's not coming in.
Eddie Howe's not going to come in.
I wouldn't read anything.
He got relegated with Bournemouth, for crying out loud. He's not going to come risk his reputation, is he?
I wouldn't read anything into that, but a lot of people seem to think that Graham Jones coming here has a bit of a feel of that, but
But he didn't work with him at Bournemouth, did he? He wasn't there. Eddie Howe already left.
He knows him. He knows him.
Did you know him? Oh, okay, right.
Ask me, Steve, whether Howe would come in. I think he would. I think he'd take the job. It'd be the biggest job he ever had in his management career. It's an opportunity to propel himself, but it comes down to the fact that Mike Ashley does not want to spend money. He didn't want to spend money on getting rid of Bruce. From what it sounds like tonight, he's having to bite that bullet and pay it out. Personally, I don't think he'll get another manager in. But if you're asking for another manager and you're asking for someone to come in with 8 games and change that team, As I've said before, I think he'd take the job. He's looking at Fraser, he's looking at Wilson, he's looking at Richie. He's looking at players that he could quickly work with, that he knows, and he could get a rise out of straight away. Equally, straight away, they get a lift. Straight away, we have a manager that is tactically aware and knows how to set up against certain teams, and he's proved it over the years, although he got relegated. Every manager comes to the end of their cycle, in my opinion, and he came to the end of his cycle with Bournemouth, and unfortunately got relegated. But that doesn't knock his credentials. He's still a talented manager, and he's still a very good manager as well. However,
he's very good tactically.
Yeah, he is.
And what goes alongside that is that I believe that Graham Jones could work alongside him. And tactically, I think they've got the same mentality in the way in which they want to play, and I think that could work really, really well for these 8 games to make a difference. Because let's get it clear, right? We don't need to win every single game to stay in this.
I was just going to say, Pete, we need one more win than Fulham. That is all.
And yet he
one win.
He came out yesterday and said that, can we go and get 80 more points? What's going on? Is he freaking head or something?
We don't, as I've said, we don't need to win every single game. There are certain games that are still out there that we can get points from. As I've said it before, you've got the Arsenal at home, you've got the Tottenham at home with our history record, you've got the likes of Sheffield United at home, which really is a 3 points that we have to get. Then you've got Fulham, right? You've got potentially Leicester if they're not fighting for anything, if they're comfortably in the top 4 in their guaranteed Champions League, which probably there will be by the time we play them. You've got games that if we're tactically aware and we've got a manager, whether it's Graham Jones or whoever it is, that can get those players playing with a fit team, with ASM back fit and firing, with Callum Wilson back fit and firing, with Almiron back fit and firing, there's a chance still. But it has to be done in the next 48 hours. We have to get rid of Bruce. Bruce has proven that he is not capable of keeping this group of players that are not a relegation squad in the league, right? There are players that are not Premier League level, and I've already said that tonight. There are not. But if you've got a manager that can work with them, like Rafa Benitez did, he worked miracles with some of these players that weren't up to scratch. If you get a manager that can work tactically with these players, we can stay in this league. But it has to be done in the next 48 hours, because whoever takes charge needs to get these players, get their heads, knock them together, and get them playing. That's what needs to happen.
Do you think it will happen, Pete? Do you think they will sack him? Do you think they will sack him?
They have to.
I think his job now, after that result, his job is completely untenable. Untenable.
Yeah, now it is.
It's not about whether I believe that he should be sacked or not. He should have been sacked in November. If it was up to me, it'd have been gone in November.
He should have gone after Brighton. We got beat 3-0 off Brighton for Christ's sake.
He should have gone after Brentford. Worst case scenario, he should have gone after Sheffield United.
But it has to happen now. It has to. It's not about whether we want it. It has to happen now for the good of the club, for the club's future. It has to happen now. Nobody wants us really in the Championship, right? Nobody wants us in the Championship. I don't want to be in the Championship. None of us do, right? Maybe for a few extra wins here and there, but it doesn't give you anything. Okay, you want to be playing at elite level. You want to be playing in the top league. We need to be fighting to stay in this league. Steve Bruce has proven that he's not a Premier League manager, that he's not good enough. And we need to act now as a club to save this club. We have to do this. It's not about what we want. We have to do it. There is no other choice right now.
He said himself in his press conference, he's not been good enough.
Yeah,
he hasn't.
He's admitting defeat, isn't he? He's admitting defeat. So just piss off. He's saying that. He's just waiting for his little payout. That's what it is.
Would anybody take Chris Wilder? Because again, he's somebody else who has been relieved of his job or agreed compensation and left.
Any of those guys. Anybody.
I'd take Wilder in a heartbeat.
I think anyone could do a better job than this bloke at the moment. We're at the point now where anyone's better than Bruce, isn't it?
Steve, I was at the point, as you remember, I was at the point where I would have took Hughes. And it's not because I wanted Hughes. It's because I wanted someone. And we need a new voice in the dressing room. We need some direction. It can't be any worse than Steve Bruce. It just can't be. Because at the moment, he's not coaching. He's not managing. And he's falling out with everybody. We're just on a downward slide. And right now, honestly, I'm struggling to think of anyone I wouldn't take. because we need a new voice. We need someone to get the players in order and say, right, let's forget all that's gone on. Let's get on with what needs doing. This is how we're going to do it. This is what we need to do. Let's crack on. That's what we need, a new voice. We need rid of him.
I can't see anyone taking the job, to be honest. Not when if they're going to be on like a sort of short contract. And if he's expecting
someone definitely take it.
If he's expecting the takeover to go through, then he's not going to want to get someone on a long contract.
There are managers out there that would jump at the chance, that would give their right arm to manage this big club with the best fans in the world. Right, there's no doubt in my mind that they're
the best.
You already mentioned too, Eddie Howe and Chris Wilder. You give them the opportunity, they will snap your hand off. Right.
Despite being as shit as we are still a massive draw. A massive draw.
And don't forget, if you say to a manager, come in, you'll have a nice little bonus for keeping us up. It's basically a no-lose situation for the manager. Obviously, he's got it on his CV, don't get me wrong, but there'll be people who will, at the end of it, will say, he didn't have enough games, he couldn't keep them up. But imagine if he keeps us up.
Yeah.
He's done a great thing.
I think we're probably going to have some of the players that are going to have to voice their opinion to the owner now. You look at, I think it happened at West Brom where some of their players went to the chairman and asked for their manager to get sacked. So why can't it not happen with us?
I wouldn't have any one of those players going to the chairman because I don't think they've got the balls to do it.
No, you're right.
And they need to have the balls on that pitch when they put a jersey on, not going up to talk to a chairman or Charlie. They need to show their fight on a pitch in a black and white shirt when they cross that white line. And they showed tonight they haven't got balls. Not one of them has balls.
No, there's no leaders in the team.
But they need a leader on the sidelines, and they haven't got that. Right? These players, have played. They've not stepped up tonight, and they haven't. And they've not been good enough. They really, really haven't. Every single one of them on that pitch tonight did not do enough. Miggy ran around, but he was playing within himself. He's clearly not 100% fit yet. And these 2 weeks will set him right. But everyone else did not work hard enough. Right? But at the same time, when you're down in the dumps, when you're down in that relegation fight, you want to look to the sidelines and know you've got a manager that's going to set you straight. It's going to tell you what you need to do. We had that constantly. We talk about, and I hate to talk about, Rafa Benitez because he's not here with us. But Steve knows. He's worked alongside him at some point. You knew as players, when you looked across, like with Matt Ritchie, Lascelles, Dubravka, Rondon, Perez, you knew when you were in the shit, you looked over and you had Rafa Benitez telling you, orchestrating, telling you bit by bit, by tooth comb, what you needed to do. That gave you the confidence. You go back to that 2-0 down, 3-2 up against Everton at home, right? You look at those type of games where we were down in the dumps, where we were like, nowhere. Rafa Benitez was out there instructing, telling, encouraging, supporting. That's what you need when you're down in a scrap. You don't need a guy that's just literally looking around, don't know what to do, don't know what to say. Right? He's all over the place. He has nothing positive to say to these players that are going to G them up.
That's what
you need. And that's what we need right now. Whether that's Graham Jones or somebody else. We need a leader on the sidelines, which is going to create a leader mentality on the pitch. And you know what? It needs to be done soon because we've got 9 games left in the season to turn this around. So we haven't got time to piss around. We need to make sure it's done. And like I said, the next 48 hours is going to be absolutely crucial. And I tell you what, when we get to our rant, because I'm not even started right now. Right? I'm not even started. When we get to this
That's a great lead-in. That's a great lead-in, Pete.
Go, Pete.
6 o'clock Sunday, tomorrow, get on that rant, okay, because I'm not even started. I want to know by 6 o'clock Sunday evening that we have a new manager or we have Steve Bruce sacked and away from this club. That's what I want.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect place to stop. And I just want to say a big thank you to Kieran, to Martin, to Holly, to Chris Hall, to Pete, to Rich, to Daz, and to Chris here, who departed a little bit earlier. Big thanks to them all for talking us through that game. I think it's been a good therapy session for us, and it's been a good therapy session for the fans, despite the match being absolutely awful. Try and enjoy the rest of your Saturday evening. And as Peter's quite rightly said, we will be back tomorrow night, a little bit earlier with a rant, 6 o'clock on a Sunday as opposed to Monday. I think we all need to vent our spleen tomorrow night. So join me, join Chris Hall and join Pete. And come on yourself and give us your opinion on Newcastle United's performance and hopefully on the sacking of Steve Bruce. It can't last much longer, guys. Have a good evening. Try and enjoy the rest of it. Go and have a stiff drink. That's what I'll be doing. Take care. Good night.
Keep the heads up, people.
See you later, guys.
Take care, boys.